Do we have any comments from the floor this evening? I know we have a couple of things on the agenda that you people can speak when we have your things as well, so.
That would be you, but not now.
Right.
Okay.
So. If not, we do have a closed session for personnel, and we have our attorney here, and he's not gonna be able to stay all evening, so the first two items, we'll make sure we cover while he's here. So whichever one of those you guys wanna cover first, I don't care.
Are you saying go to closed session first?
No, I'm saying either one of those. We can either go ahead and go over the special use permit or the closed session, but I don't, normally we do the closed session at the end so people don't have to wait around, that's why.
Well, depends on him.
But he has to leave early, so I'm saying we'll have to do the
I'd say
closed
let's do
session.
the
so
closed session, so we're not keeping them.
Get out of the way.
So if he's
So,
gotta go, he can go.
alright. So I apologize, but if everybody can just hang out for a little while, it won't take that long, I promise. So a motion to go out of open session briefly.
I'll make that motion.
Hold on a second, out of, hold on, I wrote to close, okay.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Todd?
Yes.
Ward?
See you.
Jason Hill?
Yes.
We'll see you.
Rick Samples?
Yeah.
Yes.
Tom Jordan?
Yes.
Greg Nelson?
Yes.
Paul Stewart? Yes.
Motion.
Second.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Super good, Paul. Look at you.
Paul Stewart?
Yes.
Greg Nelson?
Yes.
Rick Samples?
I wouldn't have
Todd
thought of
Ward?
it.
Yes.
Jason Hill?
Yeah.
Tom Jordan?
Yes. I'd like to think somebody misses sometimes.
Well, and it's,
Who's finding out El Camino was in the driveway the other day? You know who I'm talking about.
Oh, you're talking to me?
Yeah.
In my driveway?
Who else has an El Camino?
Oh, I didn't know if you meant here, because it was here too. It's Tiffany's husband.
Oh.
Tail lights weren't working and had a broken ground. Told me he was gonna have to get a mullet.
Yeah, had two chain lines.
80. Square body.
Very cool. Cool and weird.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
Did you see? You saw the finding. I should do that, didn't I?
Yeah.
already said she didn't.
Oh, I know exactly where. Is anybody?
Yes, Mr. Larry Moore there.
Okay.
In the glasses.
Mary shows you how old
He is
Larry
the
is,
chairman.
right?
Larry?
Yeah.
Larry?
You could go through with the marking.
Yeah.
and it's like,
Wow.
This one I think is still, I want to be appointed to this.
no, look at the wording,
You can
right?
send it
Agree
over
with that, yeah.
Yeah.
for a village judge. How
Yeah.
cool is that?
Yeah.
All right. We cover the special use permit. Does everybody have the finding of fact? Or got a chance to look over it? And if so, or any questions, comments?
Was this building ever inspected by state fire marshal?
Okay, here, I got something right here for you. As soon as I pull it up.
Ron, is that something you can help us with?
Sure.
Bring it up to this decade or
Yeah.
century?
Century would be good.
Century,
Would be huge.
probably a century.
This one's pretty, I was looking at it, it's got some goofy stuff in it.
As it would.
You might want to get over there by the recorder.
Today at 3:18 p.m.
Call back on.
Well, that ain't it.
Message deleted.
Hold on, it's on there.
Sent
Yeah,
today
delete it,
at
please.
4:23
I hope not.
p.m. Message deleted. End of messages. Main menu. To listen to your message, press 1. To send a message, press 2. Press 3.
Question.
Let's see what this is. It was from the fire marshal.
I don't remember if such building.
I don't either, so I need to ask that, because he's been recorded there or not.
Tony Nichols with the State Fire Marshal's Office returning a phone call. The State Fire Marshal's Office, we would not have anything to do with you opening a bar in Jacksonville or South Jacksonville. That's totally up to the authority out of jurisdiction, which would be whichever city you're opening your bar in. So I would start with, they're still in city building department, and then, I'm not sure who does their inspections, and even if they have an inspections department, I don't know. But, I would start with the city of, if you're South Jacksonville.
The first time I talked to him, I told him we didn't have one, I don't know if we do now, but he told me the fire chief of South Jacksonville can go through it after I get opened up,
Okay.
to make sure.
Let's
So-
shut that off so that way we're not.
I did call the state fire marshal's office today and make contact with them, and they will come over and inspect it, but Rich has to initiate this. I've got all the information here, and they will
So
assist.
what state fire marshal did you call that was
This
just?
is Larry Eaton up there in, up there in public protection. So they will come over and do that, but Rich has to do a letterhead stating that the village will, enforce the ordinances. I've got all that information there, but, until it's inspected, I won't have anything to do with it.
So you're telling me you want me to go ahead and do all this work, and you still have the chance to turn me down?
What I'm saying is, I won't vote for it unless it's been inspected with somebody with the proper credentials.
I don't, and which is, to me, is not fair, it's not right, because I have done everything I was told to do by ordinance.
Okay, and
That is
that's
not an
fine,
ordinance.
and bringing business in this town is very important. However, public safety is above that.
So,
Todd, what is it that we're looking for in the inspection?
They would come through and they will assist going through and making sure all the exits are properly marked, panic bars. I mean, they'll go through, I don't know if we use the life safety code or VOCA. I'm not sure which one that we use, but they'll go by our code.
Boca is the one that we adopted a long time.
Okay, that's what they would go by. Because that's the ones that we would enforce.
So this is something that needs to be done at every establishment, is that?
no, I'm the first one that's having to do this.
This is the first.
Yes.
First is, I wasn't on the board before.
Okay, so I have a question.
Mhm.
Are you a trustee or are you wearing a fire department hat?
I'm a retired firefighter, but
Yeah,
I'm
we
a
know
trustee for public safety. I have to watch out for public safety. That's what I've done for 25 years.
I don't think it's,
So then I guess my question is, are you gonna go back on all these other facilities and have them do it?
I can't do that. But there was a change in the structure of it, so.
My question is this, and this is for the attorney, I guess, is when we issue a special use permit, are we going through and making sure that they have their fire inspection and their county health inspection and plumbing inspection and wiring, or is that up to the business to do their due diligence and make sure they have all those inspections?
My answer to that is I don't believe we do that. I don't believe we ask for those. For the planning and zoning, have you ever been directed to review fire inspection or any other inspections in the
I
past?
don't think previously we've done any of this inspection stuff. Obviously, when you get ready to turn the key and open the door and go to work, if it's not up to code, if you don't have your inspections in place, then I don't see where you'd have permission to open that door. But at this point in time, I don't know that it's I don't think we've ever done that before, not at this point in the game.
And that's something Larry just said. I want to follow-up question to that is, if something wasn't up to code or something, our special use permit if we issued a special use permit to company XYZ, that wouldn't overrule saying, oh, you get to open up no matter what. They would still have to, you know, if we issued a special use permit and then found out, oh, wait a minute, this isn't up to code, they still wouldn't be able to operate it.
You can, yeah, you can at any time.
Well, you just bring it up to code. I mean, that's,
You
That's
can-
what I'm getting, that's what I'm getting. So my, I guess my point is the special use permit is separate from those codes. Because the special use permit is looking at these zoning issues that.
Larry's just saying that they are properly zoned and that they can have a special use permit.
Which is.
So,
Correct?
it sounds like that's what he's saying, but is there a proposal, is there going to be a proposal to amend a previous ordinance to require these inspections and have the zoning commission look at them? I'm asking that, I don't know the answer.
Well, right now, we don't have anybody with the credentials to go do these inspections.
Okay, so, so I.
Otherwise, it would have been done.
And I respect the fact that you're saying this is what my vote's gonna be without it, but we have to have a predictable, process for somebody who's gonna open up a business in the village to say, this is what I have to do to go through zoning and to get approval from the village. So, what is that gonna be? I mean, what's that gonna entail? Is every business gonna have to have a fire inspection or some kind of inspection? I don't know the answer, it's fine, but
Right.
you gotta let people know, this is what I'm walking into and this is the gauntlet I'm gonna have to
Well,
satisfy.
normally, when we've had an inspector in the past that had the credentials to do that, correct?
Not a fire inspector,
No,
Not a
we're
fire
building
inspector,
inspector, no.
never.
A safety inspection that goes by the BOCA, I mean, the BOCA code states all that.
In the past, the fire chief always signed off on that. Only time that we ever had to have the fire marshals come over was the hotel and when they put in the bank. Any other time, when there was a new business, you know, the building inspector would bring it to all categories, John, myself, the chief of police, if it was Tim at the time, and we would sign off on all that
Why is
after
it,
the inspection.
why would it be different for the hotel or the banquet hall?
Because of the number of people there all the time, you know, the square footage plays a big role. Sprinkler systems,
Right.
things like that. You're not gonna have somebody in her establishment 24/7,
I've seen.
But a banquet hall wouldn't though,
but the number of people, because you had to have sprinkler
because
systems.
it's over 100 person and it's. So basically there's a allotted amount and anything under that, then it's specified by you
Yes,
or by you two.
correct.
What was done in the past was you had what they call a letter of occupancy. And the building inspector, the code enforcement guy, whoever it was, he would come in and he would give the owner of the business a letter of occupancy, which basically had all these check marks on it that this and this and this and this is done. And this is my opinion. The only reason they even had that was for the liability involved, because if something would have happened, let's say when I was a building inspector and something would have happened and I give a guy a letter of occupancy and it burned down that night, who are they gonna come after? Me.
Right.
And even though you have all these check marks on it and all that, now, they always had the state fire marshal come over, like you said, for the 2 motels, and that being Baymont and
Sleeping.
yeah. And they had to put in we went round and round over this. He wanted to have an occupancy, not a letter, just an occupancy of over 300 people on the banquet hall. And if he was under 300 people, he didn't have to have a fire code.
Sprinkler systems.
Yeah, but he wanted it to be over, so he did, and it cost him, I don't know, $40,000-$50,000, whatever, but
Why if it burnt down, would it come back on you?
because
Because
I'm
he
the one that said everything was perfect.
Right, he signed off
But
on
I
it.
thought
he's
you
the
just did
inspector.
the letter of occupancy, or you got.
That's what the letter of occupancy, it's all a matter of, somebody signing off to for the liability to be shifted to here to there to wherever, correct, attorney, or what?
No, I'm following your letter,
Okay.
yeah.
So,
I don't know that they would come back
So
on
since
you.
we don't have a code enforcement right now,
Would you
who's
be
the
in
one that
trouble?
done this?
Pardon? Can you
that
repeat
give them a letter of occupancy?
Yeah.
There hasn't been any.
But you have to have that, right?
No,
No. No, you don't, Jason.
you have to have it under a new building,
Okay, I see.
Okay.
Okay.
this is a remodeled building. You have to have it
Oh.
under a new building.
See, you just say that.
Okay.
Next slide. Next, oh. Hey, you been through there?
No, I have not yet. Typically what we do when they get ready to open up, we go through their department to get familiarized with the layout of the
Ah,
building.
Okay, go ahead, I'm
And,
sorry.
You know, if we do see stuff that needs to be corrected, we document it, send them a letter saying, hey, we noticed these things, you need to get them updated or fixed.
Okay, Larry, I'm put you on the spot. You said in the meeting
That's what I was
that
just
he
gonna
had
say.
inspected them.
Yeah, cause I was
Did you
here
or
for that.
did you not?
I did not.
He did not say
What I
inspect
said
it.
was,
Okay,
I
what did you
had-
say?
I had the supervisor's report that said he had no problems with it, and I did not
Okay,
say anything
that's
about
all right.
inspection.
Right.
Okay.
All right,
So
let's
can
get
you
that clear.
elaborate on that, Larry? That's part of everything, right? That every time it comes to the Plans Commission, you ask the supervisors, which would be,
It's in the
It's in the
manual.
Right.
rule book.
We have to do it.
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
so what does that actually mean? Does that mean that our fire department and our police department have no problems with this, or does it just mean they signed off on it? What does that mean?
Well, to me, it means, this is a relatively simple situation over here. You got a front and a back and it's wide open. Well, I can remember when they were doing the motel out here, you know, then part of it was that I think David, they had to go make sure they had room in the turnarounds to get the trucks in there if they needed to. They had to go check the fire, what is it, the fire boxes?
Yes.
They went through the whole thing, and then he signed off on that. But this is the relative, you got front door and back door, you got 900 square feet.
So you ask, do you ask Tiffany as a department head and John and the public
Tim.
protection?
Yeah.
Those are the four that sign off on it, okay.
Well, the only one, no, there was three. There was the fire,
John,
police, and
Tim.
streets. And then we did not have at that time what I call a code enforcement
Right.
officer to do that. We needed that, and I think we've got one on board now, but we did not have that, so I had to leave that blank.
Larry
Okay,
did come to me and ask me if I had any interest in it, and I told him from my position, I didn't see where there would be any need for my opinion in it.
okay, and Tim, I hope you don't mind me asking you to share our conversation, because after that meeting, I was sitting out there thinking, oh, well, if everybody signed off on it, they must have been through it, they must have no issues. So I called Tim the next morning and I said, hey, can you tell me what that means? And he said, you're incorrect. I get what you're saying, but I didn't sign off the way I was interpreting sign off. So do you mind explaining what your signing that meant?
I think from the department heads, and correct me if I'm wrong, John's not here, but we're not endorsing by signing off on that. Mr. Moore is asking us if there's any grave concerns that he should report back to the commission, that reports to the board that, hey, you really shouldn't consider this. In my, when I looked at it, I know Stacy, I know her husband, I know their character, I know the facility, I haven't been through it, but it's not an endorsement by me by any means. It's just saying that we support the board's decision in whatever that decision might be. We're not gonna be the ones to put up a roadblock because there's nothing there. For law enforcement side, I think Rich and I have talked about this, and I think it was the same way from the fire side. He's not saying by signing off, speaking for Rich, that everything's good fire-wise. It's not an inspection. We're just saying that if the board says that they conform to your ordinances, then we don't have any reason to.
There's no known issues.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I guess my next question is, I know we all agreed across the board that we didn't want no more gaming in South Jacksonville. Is there gonna be any gaming future?
That I'm not gonna answer because I don't know, I don't think so, but I'm not going to, I'm not there after a gaming permit, I'm just here.
I understand that, but, I mean,
I will not, I'm not gonna
It's-
answer that, 'cause I don't know.
you have gaming next door, and this is a perfect opportunity. You own the residence, correct?
Yes.
And what is your name?
Rena, right.
Rena, okay. So you own the whole establishment, you own the gaming next door, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so when I say that we were all in agreement that we didn't want any more gaming, this is a perfect opportunity for yourself to have gaming in that establishment. So I guess, you know, that's where I stand, that we
I haven't
said.
even filled out the application for
I understand,
anything.
yeah.
You know, it's just,
Well, it
I
takes
just want my permit.
a lot of time to get it anyway,
yeah,
so.
yeah. I haven't even crossed my mind with it, I haven't even thought about it, I just want my bar open, that's all I want. That's it.
And one thing too, in the closing of the Zodiac, Dick, didn't we have 5 machines out there?
Yeah.
There were, yes.
So we've lost 5.
No, I thought they have not.
Somebody are out there.
No,
They're
we
keeping them.
haven't, cause they got them back.
No,
He
they
got
got
a-
them in the,
He got a special license, and it cost him $5,000, didn't it?
Yep.
Cost him $5,000, and he's retaining those 5 machines in that location.
Right.
The only thing you can't do is consume alcohol on the premises.
No, he can.
Can you? Okay.
He's got two,
That's why it costs, yeah.
actually, he's paying over 5,000 because he has 2 separate licenses.
Okay.
He's got a package license and the other one.
Package license and the gaming
Because
parlor
the other
license.
one is a gaming parlor license,
Yes.
because all the gaming is under,
Alright, so we
but
didn't
he in
lose it.
essence is just like the Zodiac,
okay.
as far as that goes.
But it's not, because the board created a special
Right.
license.
Yes, you
for that.
did.
And you can
So-
walk in there and you can buy liquor over the counter and consume it in there.
Right, but the board
Okay.
did create a special license.
Okay, but you can walk in there and buy liquor over the counter and consume
Right,
it,
but
so
what
it
Mr.
is,
Moore's saying
it
is
is a
different.
tavern, a bar, whatever.
it's as much of a tavern as,
Yeah.
Diamond Jeans is, or Maximilian's, which are not taverns. That's,
Right.
as defined by our ordinance, it's the percentage of their income that comes
Right.
from liquor or gaming, and as defined by ordinance, even though it is in a building that used to be a tavern, the portion that has the gaming is a gaming parlor. That gas station's not a bar because it has a gaming parlor in it.
You can't take your 6-pack and open it up and walk over to the
Right.
gaming.
In the
That's,
gas station.
Correct.
Or
But you
in,
can
or
buy
in
alcohol
the
in the
You can
gas
buy
station
alcohol
and
in
drink
the-
it in
in the-
those,
Right.
in the gas
but you
station.
only
You
get
can't,
there.
yes.
Yes, yes, you
At
can.
Circle K
Yes.
and at, FS,
You
you
can,
can buy
yeah.
alcohol in there and take it back to the gaming parlor and drink in their gaming section. Yeah, you can.
I thought that was the poor thing that they serve you.
Jason, wouldn't, to address your concern, because I think I've heard a lot of council members talk about that, there's no gaming licenses left, correct? I mean, you control that as a board. If she comes to. and I'm
there's a
not
tavern
defending
license
her.
left.
I'm just saying, if she came to you and said, hey, I want a gaming parlor today, don't you control those licenses?
What she has to have first is a liquor license.
Liquor license,
I
right.
And
understand.
once she
but-
has a liquor license, I think it could be done if she has a liquor license.
Right.
Right, wrong?
But you're saying we still have to approve it?
I thought so.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not a given. It just says there's one available.
One other point too is that if you do issue a special use permit, then that's for the, I'm calling it 900 square feet that we looked at. We cannot, just let's say the bakery closes back there and say, well, we're gonna put a gaming room back there. No, you're not. Because then you would have, that's the beauty of the special use. They would have to come back and reapply and go through the process for special use for that particular floor plan.
So attorney, is the special use permit given to the individual or the premises? Or the location of the,
Yeah, I don't think you can pass them along. I think they have to reapply. I'd have to read it again.
okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Are we planning on vacating the existing gaming permit we have? Isn't there?
Vacating?
There's a tavern
There's
liquor license
left.
gaming permit deal.
Right.
Are you
that-
planning on are you planning on amending the ordinance and going,
from the Zodiac.
taking back one?
Because that's out
That's
there.
already in the establishment.
In
We the- haven't-
That's what you're saying.
Well, no. We
Well,
have
there's
that
one.
from the Zodiac
We
when it
haven't
was a
discussed
bar.
that.
And so, because they're not a bar anymore, that liquor license does exist
Right.
because we haven't gone and taken it away.
Right.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, for the liquor commissioner or whatever you call it, if somebody comes in and applies for a license, there's a license available, they meet all the criteria, they have to, I mean, unless there's a, they're convicts or drug dealers or something, like, you have to give it to them, right?
Unless there's a valid reason for not giving it to them, yes, I have to.
Okay, so if, and obviously right now the whole zoning deal is a valid reason, but if we approve the special use and they come in and ask for the gaming version, whatever, if it's there, it's theirs.
If there's a gaming license available, then yeah.
Yeah, I'm just wanting to make sure that's clear for everybody, because that's how I understand.
That was my question.
Yeah, what were you getting at, Rob?
That was my question. If there's one open, if there is one of these licenses available, I believe that there was, are you planning on amending the ordinance to take it back?
So you're saying that's one way to handle that there would be no more gaming?
That's what I hear you saying. I hear some trustees
Just
saying
get rid of the
they
license,
want
so there's no
limit.
If
possibility.
we're saying we don't want them, then why is there one sitting out there we just get rid of
Yeah.
them? So that way it's not.
I'm not saying to do that. I'm asking.
Correct.
Is that something
what you're
planning?
I don't
If
know.
the license is available, then the gaming license is with it.
No.
No?
No,
No.
it's separate.
We would have to vote again on the gaming
Yeah,
license.
that's what he's saying. If we're saying we're against gaming, then get rid of that license and there's no more issue.
Okay.
We have one hanging out there for a bar.
And they can sell the liquor license and all that, that's just not the gaming one, right? Yeah, okay.
This would be the point where I do put my 2 cents in and remind everyone that that is one of the areas that we've had revenue growth in. And just so the board is aware of that, that is one of the only places that we've had revenue growth in, and that continues to grow in our village.
Okay, with you saying that, it's on record from when you were a trustee, that this came up
She was
before.
never a trustee.
No, he's talking to Stacy.
I'm
I was.
Yeah, that's what
Oh, he was talking to you, Tiffany.
I did that wrong, because I was kind of taking with what you're saying, and when you was a trustee, this came about, to give a special license to that establishment.
Special
Where you're at,
use. Yeah.
special use permit.
Okay, that special use permit was for, Dick said was for liquor license, which it was for gaming. That we voted no on, because it was a totally messed up, screwed up deal at the time.
They still have to have a liquor license to have gaming, so it's for
Well,
liquor.
we don't vote on liquor license. That mayor could have gave anybody a liquor license before coming to the board, and that's what happened. So
Yeah,
no.
actually, because I was on the board, I was the one that voted
Yeah.
no. We voted no because all right, we were voting no, I'm just gonna speak for
No,
me,
you're
but I
right, you're
think we
right.
were the same. We voted no for the special use permit. We did not want that business, we didn't think it was right for that building. Then we were informed by our mayor at that time that he had already given a liquor license out unbeknownst to us. And technically, I guess he doesn't need to tell us. So then we were stuck because the liquor license was issued already to Mrs. Paredes. And so the board, we were stuck. We had egg all over our face because our mayor
At the
had given
last
the liquor
meeting
license.
now, I
Is
was
that
in-
right, Stacy?
Yes.
The last meeting, I was informed that Harry is the one that gave her a liquor license.
Hold on. We're talking about two different liquor
Two
licenses.
different liquor, we're talking about
That-
Rena's, which was
That's the
before.
one I'm talking about.
That she was issued a Class A liquor license from the prior mayor. That license, she never operated under that license.
Okay,
After both of us took office, we created a new license, which we were all under the understanding that she would receive if we created.
when was that license created though?
I don't
June,
know,
July,
17 or something?
June or July
I-
of
I-
2017.
applied in August of 2016. I did not open Diamond Jeans till September of 2017. So when Harry came in April of 2017, that's when I started speaking with him. And I'm not sure when those licenses were created, but
Okay.
I didn't open until September of 17.
But we voted no October of 16.
October of 16.
And you already had your license
That's
from, Mayor Waltrip at that time.
But she's not operating under that license.
Right.
That was a Class A license.
But I'm
and she's-
trying to explain what the
Yes.
history of that was because we were stuck because you already had your liquor license. Whether she operated under it or not, it was
Okay,
issued.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So we don't vote for that, we just, that's
You-
already, we
there's
can
a
amend it.
separation of powers there that you guys create the licenses and then the mayor/liquor commissioner issues the licenses. I can't create them, you guys can't issue them, that makes sense.
Right.
That way,
It's cross paths.
if Joe Blow comes in and says, hey, I need a liquor license and there's none available, I can't create one and issue it. So, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Can't give one to the specific individual that way, so.
Well, I tell you, I would be really disappointed if we found out, and I've asked publicly at least 2 times in meetings if you guys had already been given your liquor license, because we went through this before. And Harry said no, because I was a new appointed trustee in October of 16, and I didn't know how to speak up yet. And if I would have known then what I know now, you would have heard a lot more from me. Because we should have known as trustees. I just think that makes sense, because look what we did to Rena. You know, we voted no, and we had no right to vote no. She already had her liquor license.
I think the reason why we voted no is because of the gaming though.
It was.
Gaming parlor, a new one, where it was located at was the confusion and.
And if that's truly the issue, I mean, if you guys have paid attention to the news lately, it was just on, Springfield is having issues with talking about saturation of gaming, and Jacksonville last night, it was just on the radio this morning, their city council was saying how Lori Large-O'Neill said, we really need to look at what we want Jacksonville to be known as. Do we want every gas station you go into to have gaming? And I mean, because it is revenue. I mean, Tiffany has a good point, but how much do we want? So if that's the issue, then get rid of the license. You know, if the bar's not the issue, then get rid of the gaming. You know, what do you want?
In Jacksonville.
No, I mean, so what do you want South Jacksonville to look like? I mean, I've already said it publicly multiple times. I think we got enough gaming. And I even said that to Stacy and to Tom. I think their bar,
we all agree.
and their bar looks great. I mean, I went in, you guys did a great job. It looks really nice. But I said to you in there, if you are adding gaming, I'm going to tell you right now that that's probably going to be a no, because I'm just, and she can't foresee the future. But if that's the only issue, then
We have to vote on that.
take it off the table.
When?
We have to vote on that for the gaming.
Yes.
So even if you wanted to, we have to pass that. Wow, I'm learning so much stuff.
Yeah, so you'd have time.
We'd have to modify that ordinance. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
No, that's fine. I mean, we'd have time to do that, is what
Yeah.
I was saying. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Any other comments, questions, concerns? If not, we'll move on.
Oh, can I ask one question?
Yes.
I forgot earlier, I wanted to ask Rob this. Rob, in your opinion, from our ordinances, as they are right now at 7:35 PM, September 24th, is there a reasonable, good quality, legal reason, whatever, to not issue this?
Okay, I don't know. I've read the report from zoning.
From what you have in front of you.
Is there a good reason to deny it?
Yeah.
You've got a unanimous decision from your zoning commission.
Okay.
I mean, that's why you have your zoning.
I just wanted to ask, because that's the way I understood it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that we're not thinking about doing something that is, as of this moment, outside of our purview, power, jurisdiction, whatever.
So it's your vote. It's your vote. But I think of this, and I think of this as, your zoning commission has to act, have to have some direction from you, because they're fulfilling your ordinances. They're issuing you. So it would be kind of a blindside to them to have them vote unanimously, I think, and then hit them with something you didn't ever ask them to consider. That's what I think.
Okay.
That's why you have them.
I've got a suggestion, and I was speaking with Greg about this just now. How would you be with, we have a gambling and liquor license open that belong to the Zodiac, correct? It's no longer in use.
2 separate licenses, yes.
How would you folks, would you be comfortable taking that? I mean, with that way you could still have a gaming license if at some point in time you wanted one.
If they applied for that, if they applied for gaming, that's the license they would have to apply for at this point.
Right, that's the existing.
Yes, that's the
But they could
existing
still
license.
have a liquor license without the gaming machine if they chose not
If
to.
they chose to, yeah, they haven't applied for gaming, so.
So what's, you know,
I just
why
don't
not?
want permit, so
If we
that's
approve
not-
it.
that's it. That's
Yeah,
all.
they haven't asked for gaming, so we're just looking at the liquor at this point.
What the rest of you think?
Run that by me one more time, what you're talking about.
That's what I guess I'm.
They're wanting liquor license, they want to open their tavern. We have a tavern that closed, the Zodiac. There's a liquor license there.
Yes.
And also, they had a gaming machine in there.
Okay.
So what's to keep those folks for taking that? And if they want to put in a gaming machine, fine. If they don't have to.
I don't want any more gaming machines.
Well, there wouldn't be any more gaming machines than we had
Well, Tom,
already.
Tom,
in
if they,
place.
said
like,
they have a right
the
to
liquor
do it.
license is like one deal.
Right.
And then the gaming license that goes with the liquor license is a separate deal. So they can just get a liquor license and not pay extra for the gaming.
No, I think I know what
But
he's
they
asking.
could
There-
apply for the
But-
gaming.
There is
Oh,
gonna
Because
be
there
more.
would be
there-
one open.
Well,
No.
there would be more gaming because the board created an additional license for the new owners of Zodiac eventually are gonna reopen eventually.
With gaming.
With gaming as well, so that's why I think there was some confusion there, so.
Oh, sorry.
He was thinking the Zodiac was not gonna have
Closed,
gaming.
yeah, which it looks like it because they're not doing anything to it, but.
Well, anyway, all they're applying for is just a regular old
Correct.
drinking liquor license.
Yep.
That's it.
And I don't remember how long ago it was, but a while ago I realized that in my own personal feelings about gaming machines and gambling, I'm not a big fan of it as an individual, but for what Tiffany said, they generate a lot of revenue, and if it's still going up, I don't feel like from where I sit, we should be legislating anyone's morality. I think if somebody wants to go blow their paycheck in a slot machine, that's their decision. They're grown adults. So if they wanted gaming, I don't care. I don't spend my money there, no offense. If people from this village want to blow their money on it, I feel like we're taxing them twice, but that's their money. It's their choice. So if we were like the little Reno of Morgan County and we were wealthy because of it, so be it. Make it rain. That's my opinion on it. I think you are going to be banging your head against the wall trying to legislate people's morality, because where does it stop? And it doesn't, and that's the point. So,
All right, let's move on to the finance. Mr. Weevil?
Okay, would that be me?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Appreciate the opportunity to be heard tonight. Looks like you got a full slate, so we'll try and be brief. I'm here basically pinch hitting for Keith Moran Development. They put together a tip proposal for Mr. Weevil. And I hope that everyone had an opportunity to get a copy of the package that Mr. Moran put together. I think Zimbali assisted him. So this is their project. I'm just pitching it tonight. I can tell you that I have worked with Keith before when we set up the Winchester tip. I think they do a very thorough job, do good work. They did all three of the tips in Jerseyville, all have worked very well for that community. So I'm glad to have them on board and basically pitch their proposal that they had put together for Mr. Weevil. Nothing like everybody leaving when you get up and talk. So.
No, you're all right. Keep going.
All right, so at any rate, the proposed project is in three phases. It involves three restaurants, as you can see in front of you. The numbers that he has put together are not broken down per phase. It's just it's a lump sum deal because, of course, we're looking at a 17-year window for the extended tip. The three phases. So the one thing I want to point out is the business plan is that
the LW Developers, which is just putting the project together. We fully anticipate, just so we're on the same page, being transparent, whatever benefits come from your decision, and I know you're not making a decision tonight, but when that decision is made, are gonna be assigned to the owners, the ultimate owners of each of these 3 restaurants. And so it's gonna be a benefit that they're gonna receive. Of course, they're gonna be paying taxes over the years. They're gonna receive 100% of the benefits moving forward. So I think that's been done before. The hotel,
They're gonna receive 100% of their share of the benefits. You need to stress this. They're
Yes.
going to receive 100% of their share.
Yes, that's correct, because it's anticipated there would be multiple owners, and
Yes.
so that's absolutely correct.
Okay.
And so, at any rate, that's the business model. I understand you've done that before. The hotel, family garden business, can't think of the name of it, Dugan's maybe. So at any rate, that's kind of standard practice. That's what's anticipated here. So that's not going to LW Developers or Mr. Wheel. It's going to the owners of the businesses as they come online. And there would be probably 3 individual business owners. So the breakdown, as you can see, how we do. Basically has the TIP anticipated revenue that will be coming from that. What we're asking for is a 75-25% split, and that's all anticipated on and of course these are round numbers, estimates, because we don't have, we're a long ways from final figures. But assuming that phase 1 is $500,000, phase 2 would be the same, and phase 3 would be $1 million, so we've got a total $2 million estimated project. And the TIF after that comes online, which would be 2 years down the road, of course. Be anticipating TIF revenue based upon that tax base, increase in tax base of $45,000. And at this point, the total TIP revenue $45,000. At this point, I think that lot is paying about $500. I don't know if everybody's familiar with the property we're talking about, but it's between the highway and the theater, the movie theater. It's the large vacant lot prime, right on the road. So that's the location we're talking about. Total tax revenue on that at this point, $569, and so of course we're talking about an exponential increase in the tax base. So that's the proposal. Of course, the numbers show that the developer share over the 20-year window, and actually I guess the TIF would just be 17 through the extended date, but $532,000. And total TIF revenue $710,000. Of course, the other big benefit is the sales tax that we anticipate from the project moving forward. And the 20-year numbers on that are $1.2 million based on anticipated sales tax coming from the 3 businesses, the 3 restaurants, or carry out, if you want to call it a restaurant, which is anticipated for the phase 1. So that's the benefit that we're looking at. Obviously, we're coming before the board at this point to receive eventually some commitment for TIF approval, and that is the incentive that will actually get someone to come in and buy, spend the money, and run the business. Because without the TIF advantage, I don't see these businesses coming to town. Obviously, it'd be a great compliment to the hotels you have. Really fills a need in the community. And I think probably the biggest selling point is there's no cost, as I see it, to South Jacksonville, because this all comes from increased revenues, and you are rebating part of that back. So basically, it's free to the village, and your share, of course, you retain, plus all the sales tax. And at the expiration of the TIF, of course, the entire tax base comes back.
Okay, now let me correct you. Are you about done? Or?
Sure, yeah,
Okay.
I told you I'd be quick.
All right, there's 40% of this total TIF that has been promised from our TIF to the county treasury, not the trustees, but commissioners and school district and all that. So I'm just using a round number here. If it generated $100,000 in TIF tax, excuse me, 40,000 of that automatically would go to the county. Now we're talking $60,000 left over. So 100,000 minus 40%, 40,000, $60,000 left over. So you guys need to be aware of that there's not a total tax bill of 100,000 in there anymore, or will there be?
Well, and so that's a real interesting question. And I did look into that, and pulled your ordinance. It's 1031 that you passed in 2016. I wish maybe Rob, did he leave?
He had to leave now.
Yeah, I wish he hadn't stepped out, because as I read that ordinance, new tip projects are one of the 3 categories that are excluded from that 40% diversion. And I was surprised to read that language, because I understood to the contrary, that it was 40% of everything moving forward. But the ordinance seems to read that there are 3 categories accepted from that 40% diversion.
And if there is, that's great, because I am under the impression there is 40% gone.
Well, and that's right, and I was too initially until I read your ordinance. It seems to accept 3 things. Your administrative expenses, and that makes sense, to exclude that from the 40% that goes somewhere else. And money coming from the Love project, probably the biggest one in town, and new projects. So those 3 are accepted as I read the ordinance from the 40% diversion.
Okay, what I would suggest is turning this over to the TIF attorney.
Oh, sure.
And let them pass their own judgment.
Yeah,
They can tell
bet.
us.
Yeah, I suspect they drafted this, and so they'll know what the intent was, but
Sure.
that's the way I read it. And in fact, the next paragraph says that if there are insufficient funds from projects that preceded the date this was passed, then the 40% is reduced. So I mean, that seems to confirm that it's limited to projects before this ordinance was passed. So yeah, I was surprised to see the language, but that's my take on it.
Okay.
Obviously, if that's not the case, then we'll come back with a different plan.
I know I found this out later that Love was excluded.
Yeah,
From
that's,
but-
and so there are 3 categories:
Yeah.
Love, administrative expenses, and new projects,
Okay.
as I see it.
And I hope there is, I hope.
Yeah.
Hope
And that's right, because that's more flexibility the village has. Yeah, you bet, the more you retain. Yeah, and it would make sense for it to be done that way, so, yeah. So, yeah, good point, and, I'm sure we'll clear that up, because I would assume the next step's to send it up to Klein.
Could I ask one other question? Do I understand correctly that this is 2 parcels and 3 phases?
3 portions. There are, so there are 2 existing tax parcels.
Okay.
Lot A and Lot B. A and B are gonna be divided into 3 parcels. So we're gonna take 2 and make it into 3.
Okay, so one of those
And,
parcels.
and they all meet the minimum lot size requirements.
Gotcha.
If there are 2 large lots, we're gonna make it into
Okay, so they will
3
be divided into
smaller.
parcels and they'll all be still part of that district and that will still qualify?
They will have new tax numbers.
Okay.
So we're taking 2 tax parcels, we're gonna make it 3.
Okay, so everybody knows that then too, 'cause
And
that'll make a
that's no
difference
big
when
deal
you're-
there.
I know, but it'll make a difference when you're looking at one, when you're looking at this, it just shows 2 parcels.
Right.
And with 2 phases, that would make a difference going forward with taxes.
Yep, yeah, well, that's a good question. To
Okay.
to clear that up. So that's, if we had Keith here, he would have some more bells and whistles. I don't have a big slideshow for you. Mr. Weevil did bring, all the engineering work that's been laid out over here, for the project. So if anyone wants to see how it all lays together, you're certainly welcome to do so. I guess the only other comment is, just kind of looking over what you've done before. It looks like you've had 8 tip projects, and kind of run the gamut. Of course, the 2 large ones are the Bartlett Grain, which is a little different because that's not a retail operation. I think what's being proposed here is probably most similar to Love, where you're going to have a high volume really of customer foot traffic in and out of the premises, and obviously there's a lot of benefit that comes with that. You're gonna
Sales
work-
tax. A big amount of sales tax.
That's right, and a large sales tax, right. So I think really it'll be similar to Love's. And I think that's probably worked out well for you. It's not a truck stop, it's a restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah, setup. So that's the plan, and what we'd like to do at this point is just to have you agree to submit it on to your TIF people. And get it up to Klein and Jacobs and have them kind of fine tune it. And then we'll come back and ask for some kind of commitment from the village when we get to that. Anybody have any questions? I'm not sure I can answer them, but I'll be glad to give it a stab.
I don't have any problem with this, and you have come before actual building where the motel came after it was built, and there was one hell of, problems there and all this, but you come before. Now, what you have for estimated revenue and estimated taxes and all that, it really doesn't mean anything here tonight, because it's all estimated, and it could be lower, it could be higher, whatever. One thing I think that the other people on this board is, they're looking at this 75% that you guys are going to get back from the TIF, but whoever the owners are, they're gonna make the tax payment.
It's gonna be their money.
It's their money.
Right.
They're gonna make the tax payment. If I'm not holding a gun to anybody's head, but if we don't do something this is an excellent opportunity, let's say that, to promote South Jacksonville to, I don't know what you're talking about, 50, 60 more employees, maybe, at least. If you're talking about.
Similar number, probably more than that construction.
Yeah, well, I'm just talking about once it's up and running.
Full-time. Right.
You're talking about, doing it all, you're probably 50 to 100 there and making it work, or making it, building it. My own personal feel, I don't have any trouble paying 75% of this money back, because you've only got 17 years to recoup. You are not going to recoup the total that you are going to be allowed. And the TIF people are going to tell you what is eligible up front. Nothing will be expended before it's being spent on the first tax payment.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Nothing.
The
I mean,
developer
so
and
it's not
the
costing
owner.
us anything. We have an opportunity here to make 25% return on your investment, so to speak, versus.
Kind of like the bank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Versus,
And that's another good point. Right now, like I said, there's $500 in tax revenue being generated from a lot that employs one person, and that's the guy that mows it.
Yeah.
And so we're talking about turning it into 50 jobs. Yeah. And $1 million, in sales tax revenue. So anyway, that's
4 hotels out there.
What's that?
And with 4 hotels, that's something that we're in desperate need of restaurants.
You
So.
need restaurants.
I think it's awesome.
The moment I saw this picture, I was like, because at first I'm like, oh, where is that? I'm okay. Oh, the theater. I've wanted there to be something right there since that theater went in. I've always thought that would be awesome. And I used to live by a place that had an outdoor mall and a big theater. And that was the coolest place. My wife and I went there every Saturday to go to movies, and then we could eat at this really cool, like, brick oven pizza place and whatever. I don't know. Those are things that I really enjoy, and I got so excited when I saw that location.
Speaking of that location,
And I think this incentive, like Dick said, is awesome. Bring jobs and money that it would be found money.
There's
It's awesome.
still room for expansion in the same quad, or whatever the hell you wanna call it. Because on the north side of the not the motel, the movie theater, that's all empty too, isn't it now? Yeah. So there is a possibility something else could go in there or whatever.
You get a couple of bidders, it's a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yep.
And even on the end there, Dick, is face.
Right.
So there has already been some interest, but the one thing that's holding me back is no TIF. And so that's why I'm coming before you tonight. When we get this piece in place, there'll be something to look at.
And once again, I'm stressing this, it's not costing us a dime. The only thing we can do is make money off this thing. All the way around.
Yeah. And it's just an incentive for the owner of the business.
my only comment is, I guess, just make sure you guys are aware we don't own South County Square Drive, right? Okay, just making sure you know that. I saw there were some openings on there. Yeah,
Yeah,
all right.
I think
You
the
probably-
engineer
you're
says
probably-
thanks, we'll say that. Yeah, well, I appreciate it.
They can set it to whatever they want.
Appreciate the heads up.
And I can almost guarantee you're not gonna have an entrance off of Route 67
No,
going
well,
in.
that's what, yeah, they didn't grow anything up for that, so.
No, it's
What's that?
That's,
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine.
take one, pass it down.
I'll drop that off today,
Yeah.
add to the packet that you got of stuff.
I don't know if they're passing around kind of the breakdown, yes, okay, and that's just on phase one, that's the only one really where we've got any detail. But that's what we're.
Short one
at
for
this-
fall,
At
huh?
this point estimating, and this is what we would like to go to Klein, to, have their blessing on the TIF eligible expenses.
Well,
Because not everything on there is, we're submitting the list, and they're gonna go through it.
Yeah, they'll tell you what you're eligible for or
Right.
not.
Yeah, that's right.
Can I ask what the hell POS equipment is?
Well,
Point of sale.
I don't think it's what you're thinking.
Dick, I believe it's point of sale.
Point of sale.
Point of sale, that's right, yeah.
I just figured that it was expenses that have to fix POS equipment.
Wow.
They used to call that a cash register.
Right.
Okay, point of sale.
Oh, you got that one.
Okay.
See, I'm reading again.
Yeah, look at how you were
Next
reading,
slide.
that's impressive.
Everybody good?
Well, we'll send this off to our TIF attorneys and we'll go from there then.
Okay, sounds good.
Who is your
Appreciate it.
developer? Moran?
Yeah, Keith Moran, yeah.
Where's he from?
Oh, Edwardsville, and he really is pretty well respected south of here. Of course, I worked with him when we set up the Winchester TIF just a couple years ago. He's set up, like I said, 3 different TIFs in Jerseyville. They've really done well there, really kind of turned Jerseyville around. And I think he's working on the Carrollton one now. But he kind of occupies the same niche that Klein does north of here. They're the Metro East area and then up this way. I don't think he's had a project in Jacksonville before, but he knows what he's doing.
Oh, I've never met the guy personally, but I know of his work. I've seen other things.
We're real happy with him in Winchester. I can speak to that. So, okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Okay, and then we had the TIF payment that we held this past month.
Thank you.
What did we do? What happened?
The board has to hold it.
Thank
I
you.
contacted Gwen, who contacted Bill Webster. I printed out the email, I'll read it though. I spoke with Bill Webster last week on the phone. Bartlett is now under new ownership, and he said there are various lenders involved. He is not able to make any decisions about the project on his own. However, the current extra 2018 reimbursement is for taxes that were paid for last year, so he feels they are due that payment. I think the village should go ahead and make that payment. He will discuss amending the agreement for future payments with the new owners and/or lenders, but he did say that they have expanded multiple times and continue to expand the business in reliance upon receiving the TIF reimbursements. They have almost tripled their bushel capacity and spent nearly $15 million in South Jacksonville. In addition, he had already spoken with Dick Samples about this, so he was not surprised to hear from us. I'm not sure everything Dick said to him previously is right. So Gwen is recommending that we go ahead and make that payment. Bill's pretty adamant that he's due the money, which according to agreement he is. But he's willing to talk, it looks like, at least after he talked to you on the phone, Dick, about future use.
Again, we're back to horse trading, a little bit. And just because I don't know what the hell he said, he had 15 million bushels and all, that don't mean nothing to me. Because we don't get one dime. We get nothing out of it.
Commodity, we don't get
So
any.
the
It'd
only
be
thing
nice if
we're-
we did.
The only thing
Looks
we're
cool
getting
to
out of
us.
that maybe is if they buy fuel here in town or something, so. But I think we've made a point here on this thing. And if what he just brought up, if new construction, they're talking about that new building out there, which will go on next year, that new grain bin,
Oh.
and is that,
I don't know.
I don't know if that's on or off,
If those are
what's up?
exempt, because it depends on if it's on the same parcel of land, I think, because isn't that how they do all that, by?
it could.
Because
I don't
isn't that
know,
way
I
that
don't know.
sleep in with the restaurant where it would.
But it's,
I don't know.
It'll change it some, but not a lot.
Right, now, we have to talk a little more about that.
This is what I would suggest. This is me talking here. But I'd send him half the payment right now and say, when we get the money, we'll send the other half. I'm stalled.
It's up to you.
You know, because Gwen's saying we should pay him, you know, but she didn't say we had to pay him all at one time. Correct?
Well, she wanted to know if I had to wait for board approval to send this out, or when she could tell them to expect payment. They're ready for their payment. Gwen did say that the village was aware, when this extension was signed, that it was gonna cost the village 40% of those revenues. With that being said, I told Gwen, this is a completely different board, a completely different mayor, with the exception of Paula, but at that time, Paula was so new that she probably had no idea. If you were aware of that 40%, she probably had no idea what that even meant.
You had no idea in the world what the hell was going
Right.
on. So.
I just told you earlier I was quiet. Am I quiet anymore?
And
No.
that's what I-
But I, so no, I
And
didn't
that's
know.
what I said to her, that everybody else was completely new. So even if the village was aware of that at that point, this board isn't, but that board was. And those people involved then were aware that that was gonna be impacted.
And the board should have never signed that. I mean,
But
I don't know, I wasn't
well,
here.
that was one of the requirements, though, to get that extension.
I realize that.
You know what I mean?
Okay, I know what you're saying, but
So
again,
it's, do you get the 12 years or not? You know, it was like kind of you had to bargain something, like you gotta pay one way or another, you know, that was their bargaining tool.
but
to
if
do
they,
that.
if they cut one out, they ought to cut this one out too.
All I'll say, and again, I'm not a lawyer or anything, but we've paid them the last couple of years under that Sunset extension, and I brought it to everybody's attention over a year ago.
Yeah.
That too, you know what I mean, like, so, and we paid it then, so I mean, obviously it's completely up to you, but that's the advice of Gwen and what I'm saying, but and that's what Bill says too, so, but I mean, it sounds like you got through him to a little bit, that he's willing to, talk about amending.
I'd send them half, myself, if I do it, I'd send them half the money now, and the other half by the end of the year.
I can't do it by myself.
I realize that, I'm looking
You
at
just
you
write
talking
that
to
check.
everybody.
Right.
I'm looking at you talking to everybody, so.
And that's just to
We're
keep
saying we
horse
want you to be
trading,
the
as you're
fall
saying,
girl, so
Dan.
Yeah.
Write the check, will you?
You know, we don't need to be so,
We'll just put it back on the payables and on the, well, no, we probably need to.
just right over, I'm gonna suggest we make a partial payment to half of it.
I think you are one of the smoothest businessmen I have ever run across, so if
You're my huggy bear, so I'm gonna be with you.
if you feel that's a way to go with it, I mean, I think we're gonna ultimately pay them.
We're gonna pay them, guys,
Right,
I'm telling you right
right.
now, we're gonna pay them, but.
You know the guy, I don't, never talked to him before. If you feel this is a way to get leverage, I'm all for it. Cause we're gonna pay it.
I'll ask Gwen, I didn't ask her specifically about liability, but I mean, I don't know that they couldn't turn around and tell you you're in contempt of a legal agreement, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, so.
All they can do is threaten right now, you
Yeah.
know, because here's the thing, you know, they're gonna look down the road, this one they just put up, they got mine, I've been out there and seen it, they got mine of another one. And that's the leverage we're going to have over them, said, no, I don't think so, Scooter. Ain't gonna be no more out there, cause you got two out there now. So, now we have some leverage over them. And I'm talking out of school here, but this is what you gotta do.
Dick doesn't talk out of school.
This is what you gotta do with these guys.
So what I'm hearing is that I'll put this check with the payables, and then you all will make a motion to tell me what to do otherwise, outside of
So
that?
you're gonna do a full check,
Which
and-
is the amount that the TIF advisor
and
has
then
advised me to do.
Dick has to decide, yeah, you'd have to make a motion.
Am I hearing that correctly?
For him.
We're shelling out, off the top of my head, what, $50,000-$60,000 of money that we don't have.
Yeah.
We have the money,
Right.
but we didn't get the $50,000-$60,000 from them
Right,
because of the 40%.
right.
And don't quote me on this 50-60, because
So we're making that up.
They paid it in, Jason.
Right.
We had to, it goes to the surplus fund.
Correct.
So,
And by what he said tonight, if that is considered new construction out there, then there is none on this.
I don't know, Al, I'll check with Ken on that.
I don't know. Yeah. Oh, we'll find out.
Well, if we're just asking for opinions, I'm of the opinion that we honor an agreement no matter how dumb it is. But I'll go with the majority.
It's not done.
No, the agreement of.
He meant the agreement, not your suggestion.
No, yeah.
Original
No,
agreement.
The agreement of, we'll give them the money that even we're not getting to keep, to give back to them.
Yeah.
So now we're losing money on the deal. That dumb agreement, not, yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
rather you call him dumb and then see what happens from then.
Let's not.
Wouldn't be the first time, right?
Nick's an old man, I can take it.
You can take him.
I'm not worried about it.
You're up, sir.
If this guy shoots 99 out of 100,
I'm not sure that I want to do that.
Give it a try, Corey, give it a try.
Yeah, get Dick fired up.
That's right.
Basically, I'm just back. You remember, of course, we were here several months ago
Yeah.
with the First National Bank of Barnesville, and basically just asking you guys to revisit the money for the tourism account that was moved to a different institution. We came back with two different proposals for you guys this time. I wasn't here at the meeting, but it sounded like the variable rate was maybe something that you weren't that comfortable with. So we have two different options. We came back with a fixed rate per year of 1.5%, and then every year we would just review that annually based on where rates are at. And then the other one is that variable rate account that we proposed last time. One thing I did want to point out on the sheets, if you have them again, we prepared these last month. At that point in time, it was 1.74. Right now, it's 1.63. So
That's on variable, right?
That's on variable accounts. Yeah. It did drop down just a little bit since last month. So if you guys have any questions, I'm definitely willing to answer any of them.
Well, while you're here, what's current bank paying?
right, that's what I was just getting ready to ask.
Tiff, what's Prairie Bank paying off top of your head?
1.15. 1.15%.
1.15. So you're talking about 45% more.
Yeah, 35%.
35%.
Yeah. Yep.
35%.
And there again, the variable one would be a little bit higher, but there again, if rates keep going down,
Yeah.
it's going to keep dropping. If they go up, then you're going to get that kind of the risk we all play with rates.
What's our tourism account at right now, do you know?
Yeah, it's between 500,000.
Yeah.
As of August 31st. I want to say like 569 off the top of my head.
Okay.
Then one other thing I wanted to point out to you guys, just so that you know, in case you have anything you want us to think about, something we like to do, we pay for so many radio spots at the bank. You know, we pay for a radio packet. We have ads on the radio all the time.
I hear them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, luckily you get to hear my voice. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But one of the things we do, sometimes we'll highlight community events. We've done it for years with the Orangeville Burgoo, the Concord,
I hear
Fish Fry
those
that
too.
we do.
Yeah.
We do the farmer's market. We're doing it this year for the Prairie Land Heritage Museum for their 50th anniversary. So if there are any community events, anything like that you guys have coming up that you can think of or whatever, don't hesitate to call me, stop by, whatever, and say, hey, you've got this coming up. I think it'd be a good opportunity for you guys to get it in your lineup. So of course, when we do it, we still say I'm Corey with the First National Bank of Barnesville. We get our name out there, but we highlight a community event as opposed to people just having to listen to me talk about loan rates or something like that.
And I have to say, I hear you, not you personally, but someone from the bank, it's always about the community, which I really like. And it is the different events. So, I mean, I hear that all the time. That you're the one bank that I do hear.
We try to do that, and this time of year you hear a lot of it because that's when all the events are
Yeah.
going on.
But it's really nice. I always like because you say you're of South Jacksonville, so I
Yeah.
like that in the ends. Yeah.
6 months ago.
Any
Whatever it was.
other questions or anything for me? I know Tim's itching to get up here probably. But yeah, if you guys have any at any point, like I've always said, don't hesitate to let me know or reach out. So we're always willing to come by or do whatever.
Cool, thank you.
Yep, thank you guys.
I will say,
Did you have a question?
before I was elected in, I mean, I didn't like it to see go out of the village in the first place, you know, I mean, you kinda like to stay hometown crowd, so.
I
think,
voiced my opinion.
yeah, correct, yeah, we both,
Yeah.
I think you've been working hard to win us back.
We tried to.
I don't think there's any reason why we
They
should.
absolutely, I'm gonna pick on you, they absolutely lowballed us for several years. And then
It
all
wasn't
of a sudden-
Corey.
So it wasn't me. So
No,
let me
it
ask you
wasn't you,
a little bit of backstory on that
Okay.
Yeah.
from my digging into what's happened. So the original, that variable rate account is what you guys have based on every account other than that tourism account. And those accounts, from what I can tell, were basically all open at the exact same point in time. And it was kind of like a special account that was made. It's not an account that, you know, if Joe or Sue coming off the street, they're not gonna get that variable rate account. It's not in our books, it's not in our brochures, it was a special account that was made for the village, basically, made for you guys, and I think they maybe done something with Orangeville since then, moving them into that account, but it was an account that, I forget who, Kai told me who it was, but somebody with the bank years ago that I've never known them, but they created that account for the village. So at that point in time, all those accounts were put in it. Then when the tourism account came, it was several years later. So probably whoever made that account, and everybody that knew about it was gone. So when they came in for that one, the way it appears to me is they just went off the rate sheet that we have. These are the 4 account options we've got. This would be the best one to fit you, and that's what the money went into. So it was one of those deals where probably, you know, they just came in, went right off of it, and went with it and never thought another thing about it.
But it did wake you up. And
It
it
did,
woke
yeah,
us
definitely,
up,
yeah.
you know, so.
Yeah, definitely, and there again, like I always say, if something comes up, you know, where if you notice something where you think we're doing something wrong,
Right.
or whatever, you know, just give us a call, you know what I mean? It's a partnership, where, you know,
Sure.
we wanna work with you guys. But like I said, I think that account there, and I've told Tiffany before, if they let me open up that variable rate account, I'd have it in a second. You know, I think it's a great account. Now, right now, with rate uncertainty, maybe not as good, but it's still better than anything I'm gonna get.
Right.
You know, as an individual, or that we're offering, you know, to anybody else.
They're not gonna call us and offer us a better rate whenever, I mean, that's me.
You're not as dumb as you look.
Yeah, I mean, that's just business.
And Prairie Land, I call it Prairie Land, Prairie
State.
they give us one hell of a deal on the loan that we borrowed for the
Yes.
school district and all this.
Yeah.
Or, I said school district,
That's what started everything.
whatever.
Right.
California.
Definitely. But yeah, I don't think it was something though, you know, from my digging into it, I don't think it was anything that was purpose that we
Well,
tried saying
it's
we're
a
gonna.
two-way street, and we
avoid.
should have been looking at it ourselves, and everybody was assuming and all that, you know, and that's the wrong thing to do in this business.
Yeah, definitely, yeah, you gotta look at everything, and, like I said, we're trying to do what we can for you guys to make it beneficial for both of us.
Yeah.
Cause we take that money there again, and we try to do loans in the community, and, you know, do what we can here, so.
Well, I think the same things happen here that happen there, is that you lose personnel over the years or experience, and that, those decisions go with them, you know?
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
And when somebody on our side doesn't say, hey, you know, can you give us a better rate? They're not gonna call
Yeah.
us and say, hey, you want a better rate? It's
Absolutely.
not gonna happen.
And
Yeah,
you've lost
yeah.
all that, you know, that experience then too.
Right.
Well, and we can't do that without, I mean, I can't just do that without board
No.
telling you to.
Right,
You know
right,
what
right.
I mean?
Right.
That's not something,
No, it's their fault, not yours.
It's our fault.
Hey, it was in the past, I mean.
So I guess we're saying we would like this to be on the agenda?
Well, you wanna
For
do that, or
Thursday?
do you wanna get all the current accounts we have and look at those and look on side by side and then?
Well, I think you're just specifically talking about tourism.
We're just talking about the tourism account,
Yeah.
and I talked to Tiffany about this, you know, there again, I understand that you guys have accounts other places and things
Yeah.
like that. We're not coming saying we need everything from the village, we're not, you know, we're not trying to go after everything, but this one was already with us, and just something that we wanted to, you know,
What do we-
give you a good offer on.
What do we have with other than,
we have Perry State Bank, and I'm not advocating for them whatsoever in stating this, but you accepted a proposal from them that included these certain accounts at certain percentages. So, if we do this and we move it back to FMB, which is fine, you know what I mean, whatever you decide.
But you're gonna lose that count.
That may change other areas there, but maybe FMB could do better in those areas. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. you know what I mean? Like,
It might end up being better in the long run, you
right,
don't know.
but I just want you to know that
Yes.
that could change things there. It's never that easy, you know? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, it's not as easy as just moving it. It's
Yeah.
other decisions that have been
Do we
made
need to
also.
find this out before we?
That's what I was getting at when I was
Yeah.
saying, let's look at both accounts
Yeah.
side by side to see what the changes
I think that's
would be.
probably the better idea, cause then if
Well,
there
for
is a.
sure, I would like to
If,
change tourism and we could look at the other accounts.
Well, I'll need to probably contact John Roman and see what that will do to the rates at the other place and then kind of,
Yeah, hell, he may go to 4%, we don't know.
you never know, right? That's the
well, what I'm
option.
saying,
Yeah,
so
that's the
if you
option.
make that phone and find out, then obviously we can relate that message.
Yeah, back to Corey.
Yeah, just let me know.
And then we can have all that presented to say, okay, so if there's no pitfall from us falling out of here, then we can move that, just that account. But if there is, what are you able to do with those accounts from Prairie State? Prairie
Now,
State.
I hear you telling me to do this, right? And
Yes.
everybody's okay with
Yes.
me doing it?
Yes.
Because- Okay, all right. Well, then I'll get a hold of Prairie State also then
Yeah, just let me know.
and I'll let you know how that goes and what, and we can, it'll take a little bit, you know, like it's not gonna be ready for a vote by Tuesday, or by Thursday, you know.
Right.
But by next, you know.
Well, it could be if it's just this, if there's no pitfall for this account.
True.
But if there is.
Yeah, I
then-
like that, I like that.
So that way we could go ahead
Yeah.
and move this one and then
Right,
ask about the other, and it can be put on maybe the next month
Okay.
or whatever if we decide to move it.
Okay. I'll get a hold of them tomorrow. or I'll
yeah, and if
try
it
to
doesn't
get
affect
tomorrow.
them, then I'd say we put this, just moving the tourism account
Right.
on for Thursday.
Okay.
Just don't lead them into that, just say, hey, you know, we was just thinking about moving this account, da-da-da-da.
Sure.
Don't say anything about the other yet,
About what?
until you find out about this one.
About what?
I said I would find out about this one first before you say anything about the other accounts.
Oh, right, no, no,
Because
I
then they'll
was-
say, well,
right.
yeah, they will be.
Right, no, and the
Yeah.
only reason I say that is because I want you to know that it was a complete proposal that
Right.
the board voted to accept.
No, I'm glad you're reminded, yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean, that's where those rates all came from, was including like a certain account that doesn't draw interest, and there was all these monies together
Right.
that allowed for those rates, you know? So
We
that's-
still have anything with Jacksonville Savings?
No,
No,
That was taken out,
Farmers
okay.
State Bank,
I thought so.
Right.
but-
we still have farmers, dwindling, because we've still got.
okay,
We have to keep some accounts open until
Right.
things clear out.
Sure.
So we're not actively depositing anything there now. Just like in FMB, we have our tourism account open, but we're not actively depositing. I think we've got 12 or 13 grand left in there,
Yeah,
something
I
like
don't know
that.
the exact balance, but yeah, you have to
Yeah.
wait for those checks to clear.
Sure.
So, so we have accounts open, but, and they're being reconciled every month, but it's just,
right, okay.
Chief Evans, where's the community benefit account? Okay, good,
Cool.
okay.
Good deal. Please and thank you, Ted.
Yes. And thank you, Corey. So
Yeah, from
Tiffany,
you.
Yeah.
you'll stay in touch with Corey?
oh yeah, we do.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, just let me know.
What is the variable rate in the past 6 months? Is it up, down?
It
What's
is,
stayed?
so it's kind of a little, kind of up and down, but as an overall, I would say it's down. In the last 6 months, rates have dropped back down some. Kind of same thing you've seen, like if you follow the housing markets, the loan rates on homes have kind of pushed back down low. Last week or so, they kind of peaked back up a little bit. So
So
like
they were
the-
lower than the 163.
So yeah, like the 163, I think it's probably, like if we were to reprice that account today, it's probably up closer back to that 173.
Okay.
But it just reprices once a month and it changes every month on there. So it'll go off that particular day.
So with your experience,
Yeah.
what's your projection that they're gonna stay the same, or they're gonna
So-
be up, or?
I honestly would say I have no clue. So when I started out in banking, I would have told you we would never see rates this low. I would have swore my life on it. You know, nobody thought rates were gonna go this low, and I personally lost some money on that with the home deal I was doing and locking in a rate, and my rate started dropping. I said, there's no way rates are gonna drop. They can't, you know, they got down to the 4s. They can't get in the 4s. They're going back up to 5s. I waited it out and ended up to break my rate. I lost a bunch of money because the rates kept dropping. You know, things a while back were looking like rates were gonna go up, and now we've got our bond markets going down. The home loan rate rates, like I said, they went back down. Now this last week, they kind of started peaking back up again. I know like the president's come up, he said that he wants rates down to 0 or negative, which wouldn't, you know, those are Fed rates, so those aren't going to be exactly what you're getting, you know, at a bank or anything like that, or we're not going to give loans out at 0%. But it's tough to say. I mean, I definitely don't have the expertise to tell you where they're going to go.
Right.
I have no clue. I think it's a good account. You know, even when rates get down super low, I think it's still a good account that pays good. But where they're going to go, I honestly have no clue. So, like I said, it kind of teeter-totters, and basically from what I can tell anymore, it depends on what our president says. So if things start going good and trade talks are going good, rates are going up, and somebody says something, and rates start
Well,
going back down. So
the reason I ask is that's a substantial amount of, you know, I mean, we're not talking about a $30,000 or $12,000. It doesn't matter. I mean, money, but.
And just so everyone knows and everyone's clear, like, that decision the board made to move those monies had nothing to do with our relationship with First National Bank. It was clearly only business-based because of the revenue.
Yes.
You know, that was it.
Yeah. What was the rate again before? Do you remember?
0.2 against a 1.15. So.
Oh, boy.
So,
Is you involved
with
in
that? So we made a proposal. So we found out on the radio that you guys were proposing to move the money. So myself and Mark Davenport came to that meeting.
Right.
Sure.
And at that point in time, just our proposal was to move it to that variable rate account.
Okay.
So at that point in time, and I don't quote me on it, but I think our rate at that point in time was probably around 2% that variable rate account was giving. But it's variable, it adjusts every month.
Sure.
So at that point in time, it would have been, you know, if I give you the sheet, probably would have said 2 or 2.03, something like that. And we just had the one offer. But like I said, it was variable, and I wasn't at that meeting. Barb and I came to the one, and I didn't realize how everything went, that I should have came to the next meeting, so we weren't here to answer any questions.
I see. Okay. All right.
I know now, so.
Now
You
you
live and you learn, right?
I guess we'll have some information then soon, so she'll be ready.
Yeah, definitely let me know, like I said, anytime you have a question.
So then she'll let you know if you need to come Thursday or not.
Yeah, let me know what you want me to do.
Okay,
We'll be here.
great, thank you very
Other than that,
much.
We want that 2.0%.
You're gonna get me in trouble.
Well, I want one of those negative interest rate loans.
Yeah, exactly right, yeah, you never know what's gonna happen. I don't think we're gonna be offering loans at that negative percent.
Yeah.
Maybe come
Maybe
to
Mr. Trump
finance.
will.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm gonna get out of here.
All right, thank you so
Thank-
much.
thank you for
Thank you
coming.
very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome, thank you.
Chief?
I'll make mine really quick. Just want to move forward on one budget item
See ya.
this year.
Bye, Larry.
I put some money in the budget for some of our novels or two of our main engines. We have 2 main cross layers on each engine. Looking to replace those nozzles, removing the current nozzles into our backup nozzles. They're probably 30, 40 years old, at least. And add more additional nozzle to our new engine, that's the foam nozzle. That new truck that we bought a couple years ago has an onboard foam system, and we found out, we did have this, I'll back up a second, we did have a company come and do a demonstration for us on different types of nozzles to see what best fit our needs. So one of the nozzles is used for foam. It actually applies a lot bigger application of foam and uses less foam than what the nozzle we were using. So, in saying all that, we went through all these nozzles, and my officers and I sat down and decided which ones we wanted to go with. So, the 5 nozzles, we're looking at $3,700. So that was the money that was put in the equipment line this year. So.
Is that capital outlay equipment? Is that the
No,
one?
that would be
Equipment.
maintenance, I think.
Repairs, maintenance equipment,
Yeah.
Open meetings.
9255? Does that sound right? Okay.
You won.
You said 3,500?
37.
3730,
Okay.
right.
And these nozzles do have a real good warranty. Our repair shop's 24/7, so if you do have a problem, you can say something.
Sounds good.
I'll do it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do it though.
You're ready?
Hold on, I'm talking, hold on.
Do you want to add some more things to this list?
Actually, I have it. So, Paul usually holds my right hand, Jason holds, or Dick holds my left hand.
Wow.
You don't know what to
Separate
do.
those words when you said Jason and Dick.
So, I'll run down mine real quick here, guys. We, first and foremost, we don't have anything here that we're asking to go as an action item for the board meeting. This is really just communication. And before I start on my list, I do extend an apology for the 5K, the way that all landed. Dick called me, Paula called me, just something that we didn't get out informational wise. The church, it's the same 5K that they did last year. They moved it up here. We did have, a few people asking if this was the Scotts Fitzgerald 5K. Not at all.
It wasn't.
No.
I was kind of puzzled when I drove by there last Saturday night.
Right, and I apologize. I knew about it 6 weeks ago, however, we didn't get the application until last week. Therefore, it didn't go on ours, it didn't come before the board. I still could have called it my fault.
I didn't kind of question this may not be a very good word, but wisdom of having it in the dark of the night like that, those people out running.
It's kind of, it was called the glow run. Notice they all have glowing stuff.
Oh, yeah, but still, thought some people could have been at risk.
Yeah.
You wanted to bed at that time? You wanted to bed at that time? I'm joking, Tom. Laugh. Oh. I guess I can let her sit back.
Okay, moving on to the list.
So like that.
Again, just kind of informational stuff. We budgeted, or we put in our budget this year to start a similar program as we're on with the squad cars, our portable radios. They've been around a while. Just we'd like to start replacing. We budgeted $10,000 a year. I'm not prepared to ask the board to spend any amount of money at this point because we're seeking some other bids. We did receive one bid, and I'd like to check into a little bit further. We want to stick with that. So anyway, we'll bring that back to committee for the next committee meeting and have a better idea of what those costs are per radio and ask to start moving forward.
Can I stop you right there?
Sure.
Is there any way to, I mean, we've been bombarded with radios for the police department. Is there any way to get something that's state of the art, ready to go, versus, or are you buying stuff that's old, or, I know you're not, but you know what I'm trying to say?
No, I understand what you're saying.
Because hell, I'm so sick and tired of these radios, and every time you turn around, we gotta have a radio. Fire department said, we gotta have a radio.
Yeah, so
At what point is there?
So it's the same way, Dick, when you went out and bought your computer today, it was obsolete.
Yeah, okay.
There's still things, when you buy them, there's already a replacement in the pipe for them.
Planned obsolescence.
Yeah. Yeah, in this particular instance with us, the portables that we're carrying are damn good. They're great radios. But understand what a police officer's going through or what a fireman's going through. And that's the thing for us. It's not about getting something new that works better. It's about replacing what we have. And that's all it is.
Okay.
I mean, our guys are falling on them, they're wrestling people. I truly, I think if this council knew what those guys are going through on a daily basis, we try to inform you to a certain point, and there's a certain point to where it's public and we just have to stop. If you knew what the guys are going through, you'd probably be.
But it's an ongoing thing, and your radio is your lifeline.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Do you have cameras when you're interacting with the public?
So we have cameras in the car. The council 2 years ago started a program of putting matching grant funds. Essentially, we got grants and the council actually paid through our budget. Every car that we have has a camera.
But they're not wearing them on their person though.
We did opt at the time to have the system that included the body cams. We have them, they're sitting on the shelf, they're ready to go on the officers when the state of Illinois gives better direction on how to document that. Right now, it takes a tremendous amount of time for office personnel to copy all that information over, to store that information. But then the big thing for us is we have to report to the state of Illinois every time those in-car cameras were used. We have to duplicate that when it's body worn cameras. So we're waiting for the dust to settle a little bit as to what they're actually gonna do, because you're talking hundreds of hours a year to just document each arrest that those cameras were used on. So we have them, we're ready to use them, we're excited to use them, but we're not using them yet. So a bill that you'll see, I think, I don't know if Tiffany's gotten it yet, is for a communications computer at the PD. This was something we didn't bring to the council just simply because it crashed. It's $500. They're installing it now. I don't know that we've even gotten a bill for it yet, but just a heads up when that comes in. We like to talk about those things prior to.
And who will it be written to? What's the?
Matthew Martin.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Same way, squad 566, Griff squad. This is a squad. We're not retiring the squad. We're stripping it down and going to use it as a UC type, not a police vehicle, just a vehicle, surveillance type vehicle. So we're not getting rid of it. The rear end went out of it. To give you just a snippet of history on this, this is the Tahoe that they, I think Adam Meffert's dad got involved in and got it up for the funeral. They put, they just got it running. Well, it finally went out, the rear end went out of it. We did go ahead and opt to fix that just because we do plan on keeping it for a while, just not as a police vehicle. The cost on that was $976.02 to Clint's Automotive. You'll see that check in there also. Again, it was just kind of an emergency repair. The next one is it's a question that we'd like to propose to the board. Golf cart upgrade. Our current golf cart, we feel that it's road street legal because it has police lights on it. We have had a citizen and a former village employee who just recently retired question us as to how we think we can be on the roadway when we require everybody else to have turn signals, windshield, a few things that ours doesn't have. In order to make ours to those standards, it's $500. It's a kit that's $500 that Rex Battery puts on. I'm not asking for that. I'm throwing this out there for conversation because we've been asked by a citizen, and two citizens actually, Danny lives in the village. What's your thoughts?
I think we should.
I agree. Where do you use it?
Fairyland Heritage.
Use it for the 4th of July.
I mean, it's used.
That would be a big one.
I think we should. If it hits the streets, we've got that ordinance that everybody else has to have it.
Yeah, what are we saying?
Yeah.
You can be different because you're the police department. That's the worst possible message.
If
put
you
that
were
on
to spend
action
$550 and
item.
put an
It is
additional
not
light on it to
$500
be
Under the
above and beyond, I'd be okay with
It'd be
that.
entailed.
I think we should always be held to
Should
a
be-
higher standard.
Yeah, I agree. You should be more
that's-
recognizable than another one.
Whoever just said that, that's the first thing. Oh, they're the police, so they don't.
Yeah.
That's exactly the first thing said.
Right. We should be the example,
It
not
is.
the exception.
I know.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
And again, I won't ask for that as an action item. It's an everyday thing, and we have it in.
How
our
old
budget,
is
so.
that golf cart? Pretty old? Dave,
No.
It's
Dave's
gas.
making a face,
No,
so I'm wondering
it's
if it's old.
battery.
Yeah, I don't mind if it's 10, 12 years old.
I would guess 10.
Really?
Yeah.
That old?
Yeah, it's a.
Yeah, because they went through, I think, Richard had put that kit, a lift kit up on that thing for when they started wanting to play with it, everything all the time. Am I right?
Wasn't
Tim?
it the old,
It's probably at least 15.
wasn't it the old, not McDonald's, but
McGruff?
McGruff?
Yep.
It was the old McGruff.
So it's in
Hell,
good shape, huh?
It could be almost close to 20 years old. now.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably older than you think, and then, but it went through that reconditioning with the
Right.
lift kit and stuff. Because it was just a basic standard cart for a long time.
Right.
You won't be
no,
able to get that done by Prairie-Land, will you? Because that's this weekend. Okay.
We'll make sure we haul it to the ground.
2 flashlights.
Okay.
That's what you got a pistol for, go for a record.
2 flashlights.
Yeah.
Duct tape.
The next again is just a request to open conversation, in regards to the board's thoughts on an ordinance governing rental properties.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. I'll start that with the way I did with the parking and the campers and stuff, and bring you some samples, and you can kind of give me some direction. Just so you know, from the police department's perspective, and this is just, you may think I'm totally off base, but I would guess that 35+% of our residents in the village are now in a rental type, whether it's an apartment or rental house, whatever. Our transient population is what's knocking the police departments on their butt. We have no idea who's coming or going, so we've looked at different ones, as far as how, and I would like to get Rob involved, because I don't know what our rights are. Can we ask an owner of a property, can we mandate them essentially by ordinance to say, okay, you have to tell us that you have rental property, now you have to tell us who, the rental application, who are you gonna rent to, how far can we go with that? We have an incredible relationship right now with two of our biggest, Lori Quigg is absolutely incredible. We get a copy of her application anytime she's gonna rent to somebody. We communicate with her on a weekly basis, if not greater.
Where are her units?
She has 1701, 1708, and
Stonebridge
17
or whatever it is.
Stonehurst.
Stonehurst.
Yeah.
Down at the end of Dewey Drive there?
Yep.
Yeah.
On the east side of the road?
Yep.
Who's on the west side there?
Same.
Same
That's her
person?
too, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and she's truly there. I mean, if we call her and say there's a problem, she'll run over the top of it, solve the problem. I mean, she's just really good to work with. Same way with Labor Drive. They're fantastic to, Jennifer there is fantastic to work with. So two of our big ones, but we still have, I guess not mixing words by just simply saying we have some slumlords in the village that their properties aren't up to code. I don't know anything about that because we don't have,
But these guys don't also realize what a benefit you do to them, because if they've got some flake, you can tell them, if this guy's done that or whatever,
we can't legally, but we can.
You can suggest it, so.
I think it'd be an accountability issue.
I agree. Yeah. So I'll bring some, not by the board meeting, obviously, but in your next package or the next time we talk, I'll have some samples and you guys can.
I tell you something too, Tiff just brought what's the guy's name? The guy you just hired, Bourne?
Oh, David Bob.
David Bob.
Bob.
Yeah.
I think you need to sit down, he and Bree need to sit down and see who the hell, this is yours, this is mine, as far as jurisdiction goes, as far as, what they're gonna govern, so.
Sure.
I think it'd be good to get you involved in that discussion too, because honestly, and our mayor also, because we don't really know, you know what I mean, like since those two positions were separated.
And it's at your direction. I mean, we
Yeah.
can't, as department heads, I can't make up and say, hey, Bree, you're not allowed to handle this. We have somewhat of an understanding, but that really comes to the board and what their job descriptions are. I mean, I've told Bree not to get involved in anything as far as building permits, setbacks.
And that's, the building part of it, yes, the setbacks, the offense in violation or something like this, it can go into what?
Sure. And I think it's, as long as they both know that.
Yeah, because there was some real problems when this last guy was in there, because
I agree.
that ain't my job.
She
So,
was
oh,
pulling
wait
her
a
hair.
minute.
Yeah, she pulled her hair.
Okay, no sweat.
I agree. The other thing on the rental properties is getting, and again, I don't know what we can do, we'll have to talk to Rob, but a uniform application, because some people, when they rent you a house, it's put your name down on this piece of paper, and then some people have actually.
Right.
Well, didn't Bree have several applications from different cities, different small towns or anything like this? I kind of remember having something from wherever Western University
Yeah,
is.
she did do something, I'm not sure.
McCall,
Yeah.
they had, so ask her about that if you would.
Absolutely.
So you're asking for, when somebody is going to rent an apartment out, you'd like to have something kind of resemble an employment application with more personal data on there?
We'd like to know who's living in our community. See, here's our
Do
problem.
they have to supply that information?
I don't know, that's what we
Because-
need to ask Rob.
Yeah, I probably need to ask Rob about that.
Cause I'll tell you right now, my family's owned apartments since '86. They have more rights than the ownership of the property does.
But here's the deal, they only have those rights once they're a tenant. During the application process, they don't have any more rights than the man on the move.
Right.
Here's why I'm asking this, guys, and I'll just cut to the chase in the big picture. We have this, Tiffany dealt with a couple of friends of ours that were in DEA agents the other day. We were trying to figure out who lived at a particular residence. They were texting me back and forth, they were in the village hall. We could tell them whose water was under
The name,
the
yeah.
name, but it didn't, you know, it's renters, it's not somebody. The water was under the owner of the property. The people that rented from them, it was obviously who we were interested in. So
Well, that's
federal
gonna,
agents
whoever
are-
pays water, you know, cause we have apartments that we pay the water bill, the tenant don't. So
Right.
it's gonna be under the ownership of the property.
Exactly. So this would help eliminate
Right.
that in part, and that's what.
I think it's a good, it's a good.
If we can do it legally.
Because the Renters Association through Jacksonville, they do this on their own.
Really?
Background check and this and that, because my mother's on that board, and whenever she has an application, you know, she gives it to them, and then they do a check on it.
There's been a rumor of a secret little book up there, you know, so.
Am I wrong? Don't they do?
No,
they do
you're
that?
right.
Yeah.
If you make the book, you don't get rented to.
So as this may be a question for Rob, can we draw up an ordinance that we require landlords to provide
Exactly.
list of their tenants in the village?
Exactly.
But then how do we know who's, like, two of my sons just rented a house, and it's obviously privately owned, and they pay the water, so my boys, their names aren't on anything. And they didn't even have to sign a lease, and they came back and they're like, yeah, we're getting the house, and I said, don't you have to fill out an application? Like, no, the husband and wife said, yeah, we can tell you're good, and we've done it long enough, and I mean.
Well, they ain't if they done that.
And they are, but I thought, boy, they're taking a chance. I mean, my kids can pay for their rent, but I thought they're taking a huge chance not making them fill out an application and
Well,
check their
Rick did
job.
some
and-
work on this, like I said, in, what the hell's the name of that town?
Macomb.
Macomb, yeah. Where Macomb
It's
is.
getting Alzheimer's.
I know it.
You ever been there?
Just Macomb, yeah, I've been there 100 times.
Yeah, I'll get with her, and I don't.
It's only fair.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, Paula, and I think the only way to combat that is to make the ordinance have teeth enough that
Yeah.
we're gonna put this out, we're gonna publicize this. If you're a property owner that rents your property.
Right.
And you fail to do this, then there's penalties.
Right. And my understanding is this guy is one that it's on Laurel area, and apparently he grew up there, and I can't remember his name now for the life of me, but he bought several homes and has flipped them and rents them. So I mean, that's the kind you want to
Absolutely.
be on our side, because he takes really good care of his properties. And he also owns several, but yeah, it's just how you get those. Apartments are easy because they're all in one.
Right.
But these are homes scattered in a neighborhood.
We, just sometimes I think it's gonna involve a lot, because you know, a lot of people have a lot of turnaround when they wanna make them sign a 6-month agreement or a lease. So,
I agree. We deal
because
with
when
it.
you say, well, I don't know if I wanna quote this, but landlords that don't have good renters, I'll say that, you know, their turnaround is,
Oh, yeah.
because they don't care who's living there, what their background is, as long as they're getting their money.
And I 100% agree, however, I can tell you with the Quig properties, and that's a lot of units, we may get 3 applications a day, we don't care.
Right.
Send us one.
Correct, yeah.
She's that good, that it can be done if they care enough to do it.
Well, do I, maybe, we've talked about this before, but do landlords have to, like, register, like when you register as business, do they have to register like that? Because
Not in the village.
They're
That-
supposed to.
that would be something that would make sense to me, like, just like that as a starting point, like register the properties you're going to rent. And then, because like with, what I was thinking about with what you were just talking
Yeah.
about, if the guy owns, 5 homes
Yeah, he
in
owns
a
several in that
neighborhood,
neighborhood.
the kind of landlord you want is the one where you have no idea what homes he rents, because look like everywhere else. And the kind you don't want are like the one
Right, and his are nice.
down
You
on
can't
Vandalia
tell they're
that
rented, right.
looks like a
Looks like it's
creepy
rented.
cabin in the woods.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
talking about Todd's?
No, not that one. No, Todd mows his lawn.
Yeah, what?
Yeah.
With or without a shirt. And you know, I think that you would wanna let the public know that these things aren't gonna be put out there for public. It would be in-house only, and I think that would be, cause I think a lot
That's
of
a good
people would
point.
say,
Mhm.
I don't want my name out there.
Right.
You know, and it's not.
Absolutely.
And just working with the village, that you're
Yeah.
helping them. I
Yeah,
mean,
we're
it's
just
a
looking for a
win-win.
partnership.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a great, so you'll work on something and bring that back to us? That sounds great.
You'll get, and to answer what you're saying,
Mhm.
you're gonna get people that won't do that because there's certain stipulations that property owners don't want. Because of tax purposes, because, you know.
Yeah.
The state.
Yeah, I don't want my property listed as a revenue.
Yeah.
Then I have to
I'm
follow
just
certain
saying,
codes.
we're talking about those lower level property owners again.
Right.
that-
Yeah.
Well, but I guess my idea there is if that is there and you have to, and the teeth that you're talking about, then when, you know, you do a drug bust on a property and you find out, oh, this guy's renting from this other dude who's what you're talking about, then you've got somewhere to go on that dude.
Yeah.
Rather than just like, okay. You know, then you got something to slam them with, and
Right.
Next time,
because there's always going to be people trying to subvert the rules.
No.
next time.
Yes, there
Open
are.
part-time
Bet.
positions, guys, we just wanna give you a heads up, we still have 3 part-time positions open. I'm gonna start advertising for those, not with the, I'm not bringing anybody to you. We have a strong suspicion that we'll lose, well, quite possibly 2 officers in the very near future. There's 2 county deputies that are going to the, that are possibly going to the state police, they're going to the state police. One of our officers is number 1 on the list with the county, so he's struggling right now with that decision, whether he'd go or not. It's less pay, it's more territory, you know, it's blah, blah, blah. However, what we've tried to do in the last couple of years is bring people in, get them allocate, you know, figure our system out, see what kind of person they are, blah, 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 and then move them into a full-time position. We don't have anybody in a part-time position now that we could move in. We have Tyler Airing, who lives out of state. You, yeah, that's right, you, I forgot about you. Anyway, I didn't want you to see Facebook ads or whatever and say, what the hell, I didn't know we were looking for. So.
Tim, did I see that they are legislating a law to make lateral transfers for police officers easier? So
Not
they can-
law.
So they can transfer their pensions? It's
Yeah.
easier to do lateral transfers from like South Jacksonville to Jacksonville or whatever.
And I'm not familiar with that. I know they are talking about, you know, your investments, your pensions and stuff in laws. I know ISP just handed down the abbreviated academy again, which they said they'd never do that again. Law enforcement shorthanded, just like nurses, teachers, so they're,
You want me to do
I
that?
hate to say they're lowering the standards, but they're broadening their,
Or making it easier.
Sangamon County just dropped the requirement for a bachelor's degree.
yeah, state police.
Or they're talking about one too, it's just in the paper.
The, what's that abbreviated academy called? Anyway, it starts.
They got it, but it's, yeah, it's only,
Citizens Police Academy?
Kinda, it's maybe one
It's
step
like
higher.
lowering the requirements for teachers now.
So, this is,
did you cover grants?
that's,
Okay.
so, this again is just opening conversation. I'd like a little direction from the board, not looking for permission to do anything. When I was chief of police in another community, we had, and I think we've talked about it in the past, we had somebody that was employed by the village that wrote grants. There is so many grants available and such opportunities out there right now. I'd like to do an exploratory thing where we reach out and see what's the cost. I know when we were in Ashland, the person was paid based on the grants, kind of, so I mean. they
It's
were
kind of a
pretty-
percentage, the last guys I dealt with.
Exactly.
And they,
Kind of
and
right
it
in your
was
grant.
very easy, I mean, it wasn't easy, I remember, but it was economical in a sense. 'cause-
Yeah, I thought that was wrote into the grant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
To pay the grant writer.
Exactly.
And I mean, it's like personal injury attorneys, if they don't get the money, they don't get paid.
And this is more of an employee thing where you guys would have, you know, not for the police department, but for the village, somebody that
No,
looks
there's grants
out.
all the time for the fire department, for you guys, for the maintenance, for John, you know, on and on and on. So-
There's no less than $100,000 at any given time for law enforcement. The problem is it's in so many different, it's in Homeland Security, it's in, Natural Resources was the one I got the other day. One of the ladies in Natural Resources said, well, yeah, I can, I'm like, what, how does that apply to law enforcement? If you have the person that does grants, they know that.
They know.
So, I'll report back to you, you know, what the findings are there, and it'll be for next committee. This next one, I don't wanna strike any nerves, I'm not complaining by any means. Again, I'd just like to open conversation in our mail delivery service. The police department is busy, we're not too busy to deliver packets, and I'm not insinuating that. However, the timing is really tough sometimes. And I know you folks have said, hey, if you can't deliver it, just call me and let me know. If I got time to stop and call you, I got time to probably just run and deliver it. I've talked to other communities. I know we're not other communities. I know we are what we are. But you know, at some point they did away with the rotary phone and started talking about the push button phone. I'd like to start talking. Can we talk at some point about this antiquated system that we're tying up law enforcement officers to deliver the damn mail?
Oh, I agree.
I
agree, totally.
I
I've said
would
this
accept
before.
it electronically.
I
to be
was
honest
just,
with you.
I would
the word
too.
paperless was in my head.
Yeah. I'd
And
be
I
happy
think
with
one of
that.
the issues, well, I know, one of the issues was Sherm had no way
Yes,
to
ma'am.
get.
Absolutely.
And so Sherm's was delivered, and when I came on, when I was appointed, everybody got it delivered because Sherm didn't have an email.
That's the way we
Mike
did it for
refused to
100
open his
years, so-
email.
Right.
Mike Elliott didn't use email either.
Absolutely.
So we had them delivered. But, I mean, I've said that before. I think, I mean, there was an officer, and I don't know who he was, a young one, that came to the door tonight, and I was like, what are you doing?
He tried to go this morning, cause
Yeah.
I seen him this morning. And
I
was
said,
like,
for
bet
God's
he's
sakes,
delivering packets."
we have a meeting tonight, and he goes, I'm so sorry, and I said, stop right there, don't apologize to me. I said, I'm just thinking, it's ridiculous, you're coming to me with minutes, you know,
Will
from a
you
meeting.
all just think about, I'll bring that back to committee next month.
Yeah.
I sit on 3 different boards, and all 3 of them do it the same way. I know this is not necessarily the way to do it. But for instance, if you deal with 911 board a little bit, we talk about that. We get it in electronic, we get it in our email.
Yeah.
And then when we arrive at the board meeting, it's in a 3-ring binder. So we have an opportunity to read it, know what they're talking about, and then it's also in writing when we get to the meeting. There's a binder for it. I just want to open the
That'd be great.
conversation.
Just leave the packets here and send it electronic, send it
Yeah,
email.
I would personally request that just send it to me electronically from now on and leave the packet here.
So
I'd
that's,
be happy with that.
that's agenda and minutes. What about all the stuff she puts in for, like all the, I mean,
Bills,
to scan it individually to you? I mean, cause I don't have you on the machine. I would have to email, you know what I mean? It takes
Well,
2
and-
emails to get to one person.
Those are things that, I mean, I'd come pick those up, because you know how I feel about that. I don't want it the night of the meeting, I wanna see it ahead of
Right,
time, and
right.
that's just my personal preference, so I'll come in and pick up the
Well,
packet.
all these things are like procedural of just how to get this document, how to get that document.
Would it be a big deal to, like, you
No.
know all the attachments we get, cause I know
Yeah.
what you're saying, Megan, there's a lot of
A
attachments.
minutes and agenda is something I have at my fingertips.
Sure,
but
and
I
that's
don't
not
have
bad.
it until I come in and get the box. It may be this
Okay.
thick and it's
Right.
constant
Instead of
scanning.
sending it out, why can't you put it in our mailbox?
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing.
Because I
Should-
can do that. I
Send an email and say, hey guys, your packet's in your
Yeah,
mailbox.
that'd suffice.
And then it's our responsibility to get it.
Cause can't we all get in
And I
here,
can
if I
put
ever
in my
figure out what
box
my
and
code
go on
is,
top
I
of
can
it.
get in
Last
anytime.
folder, social
Not your
media.
name on it.
But you can't get into the
Well,
office.
we can
Office
put 'em
be
at your
locked
seats
up
over
though,
here.
right?
Yeah,
It's ridiculous to
give,
have
put a
you do
mailbox
more
back here, or.
individually.
or
The
see-
office is always locked from
Because
the-
that
Yeah,
door's
in the
not
hallway
locked,
there
right?
when they leave.
Could you
Yeah.
train Luger to deliver?
Yeah. Or get a carrier
He's
pigeon.
busy.
One-
He's been a little busy lately, but yeah.
Let's just,
We're
I mean,
gonna
let's just
continue to
decide.
deliver until you folks change something. I
We
just
could-
appreciate the conversation.
We get them, like say for a Thursday meeting, we get them on Tuesday night, correct?
Yeah.
48 hours.
Yeah.
So,
48 hours.
so whatever that we can't get that would be a hassle for that, go right in there on the mailbox and it's our responsibility to come
Well,
out.
Tiffany said put them
Really need to
here
have
because
it
we
here
can't
so
get
you
in the
know
office.
everybody in
Just put 'em-
the office.
Right where we sat then, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Although there was
However-
once discussion that we should be able to get in that office. I do remember talking about why don't
Because that's
trustees have keys?
What's that?
Why don't trustees have keys to get in to the main, like where our mailboxes are?
I was told when I was brought on, and this was our previous administration, that it was a security thing because trustees are not employees, and then they would have access to like records, and there's no disciplinary action on to follow through with anything. Like
It was a
basically
Gordon
do
Jumper
whatever you
thing.
want. So that's what I was told, but this is different now, so I
Yeah,
mean.
you
Well,
guys set the rules.
I will say that at my day job, I manage our electronic key
Okay.
stuff,
Yeah.
and none of our board members have keys. And I don't think any of them really feel like they need them or want them.
Well, as long as I can get a packet here, I'm all right with it.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Yep.
Thank you.
Comes automatically.
So you sounded like you thought that was gonna be hard.
So maybe we'll have a final decision on that one by Thursday.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Oh, wait, because we're supposed to get that packet.
Week from Thursday.
We'll deliver this back. That's why I said we're gonna continue to do it as it's done until
All right.
they instruct us otherwise.
Okay.
And one last thing I forgot to bring up, I'm not gonna be here at the next board meeting. I don't have any action items, but my report, John Green will have, and you'll have it prior to.
So it'll be quick. All right. We'd
Does
like to
anybody
hear
know
that.
where John is tonight, by the way?
We didn't have anything on his, so he asked if he needed to be here, and I said I didn't think so.
Where you going?
So-
Where you going? Where you going?
I didn't say I didn't think so, I said no.
Lakeville, Springfield.
Oh, it's none of your business.
No. My wife said that, I'm going to Hilton Head.
Hilton,
South Carolina? I'm here in North Carolina.
Oh, all right.
Just waiting for you to say what business, because I have something.
I thought they were still talking.
Oh,
All right,
we got the
no,
billboard
Parks
still.
and Tourism, the South Main billboard. We didn't make it as an action item, so if everybody's okay with going ahead and moving forward with the Halloween stuff, and we'll have it as an action item on Thursday.
And the
No.
Halloween stuff will be like it was last year.
It's same image as it was last year, I believe, with the dates different.
Half is Safe Halloween for kids, half is Pumpkin Fest.
That would replace the Prairie Land that's up there now.
Yeah.
So it's over on the 29th.
This year, right? Okay.
And I want to throw this out here again. I say it every time we talk about South Main billboard. And Dick, you said you were going to follow up. Can we find out the history on that? Because I feel like we need something in
Okay.
writing about our use of that from Bartlett.
I will delve in that tomorrow.
Thank you.
Now, the billboard out south. No. Billboard out west, the little one that we put up.
Yes.
It looks fine and all that, but the only complaint I have on that thing, it's in gray, and it's kind of hard.
It's hard to read.
It's hard to read.
One on East Morton's hard to read at night,
Yeah.
too.
So, just.
I kinda like
if we
that
ever
original
change it,
design we had.
We needed light or something,
Yeah.
'cause it's hard to read.
Yeah. And I didn't realize it, I don't know when they shut those off, but we came home a little before 4 o'clock from our vacation, and everything was, all the billboards were shut off. I don't know, I thought they just keep them on until daybreak or
So
something.
did I. I've never been out that late.
Well,
so-
that was a kind of an eye-opener.
But it looks
pardon the
fine,
pun.
guys, and all that, but it's just hard to read.
It is.
Well, we
That's
can,
why, that's why I opposed it when we did the redesign on it.
when, we can replace it at any time, just, it
Another
costs,
$450.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so,
I don't, how long does it normally last?
what did they say, 6 months?
Something like that.
Okay.
So that's just something to think about, if you just wanna leave it up for the 6 months, and then at the end of the
Yeah.
6 months.
You that, or we have Long Lino make, the letters in this color and slap them on there for you. I seen it fine.
Okay.
Do you know Lamar was, apparently they're nationwide? Yeah. I saw some out in Nevada, all up down the highways out there.
Yeah, they're all over.
I thought it was just maybe a Springfield only area.
Old business.
I don't know why I keep bringing this up, because it's the furthest thing, but has anything been settled for the Little Miss stuff, or what? I
No,
don't know why I'm the only one bringing this up.
because you're really into it.
I just know that a lot of people.
I have reached out to South, their PTO. Morgan Freed is in charge of that. She's actually went to school with my kids. And she said she had to reach out to the PTO. She also was going to ask Tim Chipman Did you go in and say anything to Tim?
I mentioned it. to
Okay,
him.
what'd he say?
He just said that they would like to participate in anything the village does.
Right,
He's
and
just one of them.
so Morgan said they were just starting to meet because school's just gotten underway, and they had a meeting at her house, and then she said she would invite me to their first PTO meeting. So I was saying like end of October, maybe
Right.
with, don't they do a Halloween deal here too? Okay.
That's what
so-
we said before.
Yeah, so
But we're
maybe,
just getting almost to a month, so.
yeah, well, I wouldn't be doing it, they would, so I don't
Right.
care what the
Oh, yeah, I
time is.
understand that.
Yeah, you're right, we're getting close. So that's, I mean, that's all I'm doing. Anybody else, the Zerners are out. Maybe for next year, but
The what's out? I'm sorry.
Zerners that
Oh,
live over
okay.
here, that we thought might, Taylor or Melissa, neither one wanted to. They've got too many other things. And I had an old business, I brought it before, and I asked Tiffany for her help. And I think you guys were kind of on board with it. The reminder that, it was a Sangamon County official came and talked to us, Paul Palazzolo, Zolo, I think that's how you say his name, about switching accounting firms. And that he said it was standard operating procedure, and so you have Suzanne coming, is she coming Thursday to present?
Present the audit findings,
Yes.
yes.
Okay, so when you and I were touching on this, you said that might be a perfect time to start talking about it as a board if we were going to switch.
Well, not that meeting.
No, but I mean like this time of year.
Oh,
yes.
right.
Say, thanks, Suzanne, now we're gonna switch, yeah. Yeah, so, what do you think the procedure should be?
I don't know, I
If-
think we first need to check with Rob to see if it needs to be, bid out. I don't know, because it's over $20,000.
Okay.
Usually since we're going with the new, I don't know if we'll have to, you know what I mean, like, I don't know if we'll have to submit for bids for that, do you know, Mayor? I don't know.
Don't worry, that's never.
So we'll probably need to check with him and then kind of see what the procedure is, because I honestly don't know, they've been here since I've been here, since
Right.
before me, you know, so.
And I mean, it's up to you guys, but I've said it before, that is the one thing hanging over from the previous administration that people wanted changed. And so I see no reason not to. I'm not saying switch for 5 years. If you wanna switch for one, we can say to people, we did it, we switched, and if, you know, I know you like your relationship with Zambala. It's not about whether we like working with them, I feel it's about transparency.
Sure.
And,
And I fully believe that they're completely transparent, like they.
I do too.
They just sent their findings. I get what you're saying too, though, and I would just reiterate, please do not sign a 5-year contract with somebody
Right.
without knowing them, you know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
Give us 1 year, you know what I mean, like, see what.
So maybe Rob can guide us there, we do a 1-year deal? And so would you start thinking of,
I've already started looking at places, actually, I just don't know if we have to bid it out.
Okay.
Since it's gonna.
so Harry, could we ask Rob
Yeah.
Thursday on that?
I
What
would
the
just ask him
process?
Thursday, yeah, while he's here.
That way we don't have to pay him.
That's what I was
to
gonna
ask a
suggest,
question.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, before everybody
Can you
gathers
remind
up,
us
I'm
to-
sorry, are you finished?
Yeah, I just wanna make sure she
Okay.
would remind, Rob maybe, she can handle that on.
We got
Is
an
that all
item
right?
of new business before everybody packs up and leaves, recreational cannabis.
Yes.
Okay, every community around us is dealing with it one way or the other, so when are we gonna start having a discussion on it?
Well, you can either, we got two options. You can pass an ordinance to ban it, or you can pass an ordinance, well, you get three options. Or you can do nothing, or you can pass an ordinance that you can have a 3% sales tax on it.
Or an ordinance to ban it, right?
Well, yeah, that's
Right,
three
that's what
options.
he
Ban
said,
it, you can do nothing, which that means it would come in, you
Mhm.
just wouldn't have an additional sales tax on it, or we can tax it up to 3%, up to 3%. So you could,
So,
1% to,
I just want to start discussion so
yeah.
the seven of us sitting here can express our opinions.
Just a quick question. Would this be like if, someone's, well, like, this country bar trying to put in there, in a B2, they gotta have a special use permit, would that be the same thing for medical, or for,
If
for
it's-
marijuana?
If we need to update that ordinance that lists, because it lists specifically, like there's 9-10 businesses on that list that can go in a B1 with a special use permit. We need to update that anyway because, like for instance, gaming parlors are not on that list.
Okay.
So we need to update that. Like for instance, if we were going to allow recreational marijuana, then you would need to well, you wouldn't need to, but I would suggest you add that to that list. Now, they could go in, if we were gonna allow it, you could go into a B2 with no concerns. My thought is, and this is my law enforcement background, but it's all over Illinois, it's gonna be here, whether we like it or not. Throw the 3% tax on it and you welcome it. Because it's going to be all around us, whether, like I said, whether you like it or not.
You think we should ask for public input before we do that?
Sure thing, absolutely. Yeah. Now, little misconception that I've heard some other municipalities talking about. I've heard some municipalities talking about the municipality trying to obtain, because there's only so many licenses that the state's created. And I've heard some towns talking about they want to get, they're trying to snag one of those licenses because they want that revenue. The municipalities don't get the license. It's the business gets the licenses, and then they'll go wherever they want.
You're saying they can come here whether we like it or not?
No.
Okay.
Assuming we don't have an ordinance that bars it. Let me pick on the city for example. We can't compete with Jacksonville to get a license because we're not obtaining the license. It'd be the business. So XYZ shop decides they want a recreational cannabis license and they get it. They can decide whether, if they were going to come, let's say both us and the city said yes, we'll allow it. They can decide if they're going to go north or south of Michigan. That's up to them. It's not up to, assuming we allowed it, it wouldn't be up to us. Does that make sense when I say it?
Yes, it does, yeah.
Now, is there anything in there that we could utilize the however many acres of swamp or whatever to be producers?
There is
That's where the money is.
There's a separate thing for the producing in it, but that the thing that the state just passed.
Yeah. You share crop with somebody else.
I try to be. Oh, speaking of that, don't drop that.
Okay.
I try to be up on reading those statutes, and that new one, I'm sure our police chief can even say, it is about as clear as mud. It's the same way with the.
We get that a while until it's full of errors, it's full of problems.
It is.
Until they test those waters and that'll be revised.
It's like
it's fitting.
Year and a half.
It's like the gambling expansion.
2014-15, I brought a guy here to town, right out there south of town, and we were in consideration. Taylorville was in consideration. Lincoln was in consideration. Lincoln got it.
For hemp or medical marijuana?
Hemp. Or for medical marijuana. Medical marijuana.
And that was for the cultivation.
Cultivation,
Yes.
Oh, I didn't
where
know we
everything
were
was
even
grown
up there.
inside under lights and all this stuff, and man, we boom, boom, boom right down the line, except we didn't have the smoke, so to speak, to make it work here. Because it's a lot of political pull.
We just won't be able to sell back what we seize to the legal places.
Believe it or not,
Yeah.
there's a lot of
We have
lobbyists.
hundreds of pounds of it, if we could just sell it back to them so they could sell it to you.
Yeah, sharecropping.
Speaking of the sharecropping, though,
Hey, you want the money, you don't want the dope.
Dick,
Yep.
what's the cutoff, and what do we got to do to our acreage to let the farmer know?
Had to let that guy know by October 1st.
Well, we're there.
So you need to send, and you have to send them a certified letter, or have the police deliver it to them, if you don't want him to farm it anymore. But October 1st is the deadline. If you miss it, then he's got it for another year.
And what's the terminology here that we're wanting
Basically,
to
it's
switch
just
to?
the point that we the village of South
No,
Jacksonville.
I'm sorry. No, the terminology, because are we actually sharecropping? What are we doing here? What are we doing now?
I don't know if you're leasing the ground to them or sharecropping or what.
We're not sharecropping, because we don't pay any of the expenses.
Yes, we do.
Really?
Yeah, they have the
Then
expenses.
then
we
you're
have
splitting
the
the crop, you're sharecropping.
And what is it that we want to do? We want a cash rent.
Cash rent's what you want.
We want a cash rent.
So that way,
They
they're buying
pay for all of
everything,
it.
we just collect a check.
And you want the money, half the
And
money
it's-
due in March 1st, and you want the other half due September 1st. October 1st, whenever they're gonna take it out.
Who farms it?
Tim Finch.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, and he can still have it if he bids.
All you gotta do is cash rent it.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he'll probably offer to.
What did it bring in last year, off the top of your head?
Not much by the time we pay expenses.
Okay, at 40 acres, and let's say they're all tillable, it ought to bring somewhere $8,000 to $12,000, $200 to $300 per acre cash rent.
200 is pretty
I can
low.
tell you we can get that.
It is. You know,
200 is low.
but I'm just saying, it'll bring in that ballpark of $8,000 to $12,000.
I don't know what the ground is, but out by the airport last fall, you know, it goes up for bid, you know that.
Yeah.
It brought over 400. It was like $440 an acre. But that's out by the airport, that's good ground. I don't know where this is at, but.
This ground, John dumps all the leaves on it and all this other stuff, which is a good mulch, you know, but they,
How many acres is it, you say?
40, I
I
think.
think that sounds right. That brought up another thing I was just gonna say though. I don't know if anybody's checked with John or if somebody wants to see if there's anything else with that relationship. You know what I mean? Like if
Well,
there's
you're cash
any
renting
reason
that
for
ground
it.
to them with the understanding that we will dump our leaves on there
Okay.
November 1st or
Gotcha.
something, whatever.
You know what I mean?
After
Like,
harvest,
Yeah.
so it won't affect.
So if everybody's okay with it, then I'll send them a certified letter with our intentions and.
Yeah, and the police can deliver it. That's fine. I mean,
You
I'll.
were
But are
just
you gonna-
asking not
are
to
you gonna put
deliver
a-
stuff.
He's not the mail.
Are you gonna put a eagle on your shirt and?
Are you gonna put a set amount on there, or are you just gonna?
Oh, no, we'd have to bid it out.
Right, that's
Just-
what I'm saying, yeah.
We'll just give them our intention
So
that
we're
we're
just
no
saying that
longer
we're-
going to
yeah,
share
we're-
crop, so that way he doesn't go
We're
spray
giving up
nitrous on it.
sharecrop, and then we're gonna take bids for,
Yeah,
okay.
that way he doesn't go spray whatever on it and
Right.
be committed.
All right, cool.
And he may come at you with something, but believe me, it's October 1st.
You want the bid,
I've been down to this road.
because people will bid to get ground,
Right.
and they'll go retarded.
All right,
I'm
we'll send that out right away then.
Oh, okay.
You got something?
Yeah, and this is the biggest pain in the butt. I don't know when it ever ends. But this whole codification thing.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, what's our update on codification?
Well, they got the
Hold on.
changes.
How long are you gonna be?
5 minutes.
All right. Is this something I really have to hear?
Oh, no, you're fine.
Thank you. All right, I gotta go bathroom.
What are you doing? What are you gonna do?
I've been home in a long time,
I
bud,
thought
so
you were
if you don't want me to
go in your truck
Yeah.
and get a bush and bring it in.
Nope.
Oh, okay, they sent me a thing that they received the stuff we sent them, you know?
Right.
The corrected version, all the ordinances we passed since then, and then say, is this all the materials we should expect? We did not receive your responses to the legal and editorial research report that one of our staff attorneys prepared and sent to you. I've attached another copy. Please forward those answers if you wish them included in the code. However, if you wish us to proceed without those responses, we can do so. Just let me know. So my answer to that is, this is the first time I've seen this document. I don't know if the board.
Can I see one of them?
Absolutely. I don't know if the board ever received this. I certainly
I
did
don't
not.
remember anything else.
I've
Do you have
never
another
seen.
copy?
I have no
I just
memory of
made
that.
one.
Cause I remember doing a questionnaire, like a.
This is a different one.
This is a
now.
different one.
Okay, because the questionnaire is the only thing I had, and I printed off emails to show this.
Yeah.
In my email was a questionnaire.
We had to do that before they did
Right.
the
This
codification.
is a different thing, and their dates are all messed up on it, but their firm has had like 4 different people involved in it. This was supposed to be done over a year
Oh,
ago
no.
here anyway. It's just been a mess, honestly. The board's turned over, I mean, so I said, she said, do you just want us to go unpublished? And I said, no, send everything back, please, because I want to give them a chance to look
Final
at this.
review, yeah.
And, you know what I mean?
Again,
So they sent it
this
back.
is-
And I didn't know if you looked at it or not, but it was the first time I'd seen it, so I
So
thought,
that's for Rob to answer?
no, it's stuff that the board is supposed to consider apparently when they're doing this, but it's the first time I've ever received it. So I don't know if it, I looked in my email, it was never there. And that's why I said, I didn't know if you had received it, or if anyone on the board had,
I didn't
whoever
get
was
anything
handling
from
it from the beginning. I knew the
Okay.
new board members hadn't, but
Let's make copies of this so all the board members have it and.
you're
give
probably
it-
gonna wanna go through the stuff again,
Yeah,
I assume.
at least this,
And that's what, okay, and I've got your original back.
okay?
It came yesterday. Like I said, the project that never ends, but,
Well, it's someday it'll end,
but it's
but we,
frustrating.
again, we don't know what the hell they're talking about here tonight because they're talking about reference to this.
And they don't know either, because they've got their dates all messed up with your
We'll
dates
figure
and
it
the
out.
names, so.
Can
just
you
so
email
know,
that?
it's not done.
Yeah, can you just email it to us maybe?
Yeah,
And me,
what?
and me.
Okay, yeah, I can do that, but yeah, just so that'll be.
Oh my gosh. He's in there squirting.
What the hell is he doing,
He's
spraying?
spraying.
He's spraying air
They're up.
freshener.
Okay.
All right. Any other new business?
Motion to adjourn.
Did you want
A
to set
second.
a meeting for,
Motion to adjourn.
talk to that new one?
A second.
Not here,
Second.
okay. Don't have to.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.